Hello, welcome to Waiting for Game, weekly podcast by Melee Stats. And boy, do I think that this is a special episode. So I'm your host, Gimme That Wheat. I'm here with my co-host, Edwin Budding. And look, I've said this like every single podcast episode. We are so fortunate to have some of the greatest guests throughout the Melee community. I have not lied when I said that not only have I'm either personal friends with every guest or I look up to them. Like, we have just been so amazingly blessed to have guests who I just want to have personal conversations with. Now, all good things have to come to an end eventually.
That's right.
But I'm happy to have on some content fiends themselves. We were invited on their podcast a little bit ago. So if that was like getting invited to a nice house party with a beautiful charcuterie board and everything, this is like us inviting them to some dank home with I'm mixing cocktails by pouring straight alcohol into like PBR cans that I've been sipping out of.
I mean, yeah.
And Edwin's in the corner. He's trying to play recorder. Ambi's there playing chess or something. So
there's
maybe
like a hole in the wall, garbage is leaking through the sink and everything.
Not the prettiest house, but hey, here we are. So our guests today are from the Mixup, Turn Down for Walt and Radar. Hey, how you guys doing?
Do you want? I'll go first. I'm doing well. What about you, Walt?
I'm doing great. I feel like I'm gonna be up all night now because of my drink selection for the evening. But you know, it is what it is. If we're gonna get sponsored cases of Red Bull to support GOML, then I'm gonna have to drink them eventually. Is the thing.
I think I have 20. I think I literally have 20 cans, and I'm just like,
yeah, you got so many. That's actually not even fair. I got 6.
Damn. Yeah. I gotta say, I feel like you guys are flexing on us.
Yeah, I didn't get anything.
Well, we weren't involved in GOML at all. So.
Yeah, that's because I didn't do anything. I just wanted to clarify that.
Hey, DM me your addresses. I'll mail you guys some Red Bull.
No,
I had the Amazon receipt in mine. Like, there was no shame where they got it from. It wasn't even like from corporate. They were like, yeah, we bought this shit off Amazon. It was $8. Here's the receipt in the box when you got it. I was like, all right, well.
See, with cool. Me, this like Red Bull ambassador person apparently like came to my home and was like, is there a Matthew Gallagher here? And like my fiance is like, there's a Michael Gallagher, and they're like, does he cast Smash Bros? And she's like,
wait,
yeah.
no shot.
Like,
that's amazing.
Right, this. Like, that's very funny. It was funny. And he would even ask that like overtly. That's great. I guess it must have been.
And then you're like, I have a fan.
I've made it.
Oh my god, how do you know?
And as we've mentioned on this show before, I know exactly what that experience is like.
Yeah, Edwin has a whole big thing about how he's been someone noticed him once.
Nice.
But it's not just someone. Okay, it's a long story. It has nothing to do with the topic.
It's a long story that you can actually listen to a past episode to find out.
I think like 5 past episodes, and you can hear.
Well, just listen to them all. Is basically.
I think you brought it up in every single one. It's like how
the Hungry Box Nostradamus thing.
The Hungry Box Nostradamus. The Twitch chat got a little heated the other day because we were bringing up $100,000, and they're like, "You bring up $100,000 every time."
Oh, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do last weekend?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, we got to get to the big thing that happened this weekend, but honestly,
which is not Ben, which is not $100,000 beating Ben.
I don't know. Bigger than GOML might be $100,000 beating Ben in Game 15 Grand Finals. Never say we didn't tell you. Melee Stats has never been wrong about something. They just never. It's sometimes not always right in the moment, but they've never been wrong.
Yeah, it's calculated hedging. I respect that.
Mm-hmm. Time will prove Melee Stats right. But hey, speaking of time, it seems like you guys were having a great time the other day casting GOML. I wanna hear about your experiences on the mic, because I know that you guys have become more of the premier commentators than you were last time we spoke to you. So I want to hear something about this.
I had a blast. I messaged Radar after Saturday because I literally think that was probably the best we've ever casted in definitely. Like the year that we kind of started doing this thing together. I don't even know how you and I started becoming a casting pair, to be honest with you, but it's still pretty cool. Was it from Untitled?
I think it has to just be like Well, like, are you asking how I started getting into commentary, or just us?
No, I mean like how like you and me even got paired up, and then
no, it wasn't. We didn't do anything in Untitled. It would have been. I don't even know when the first time.
Yeah, I was thinking about it the other day.
That's actually a good point. Well, definitely like Xanadu is when it became regular. Like that was kind of, we started casting the sort of Xanadu weeklies. We did the before top 8 for a while, and then we got promoted, which was a great feeling.
Big deal.
Dimmer personally said, "All right, move them up," and it had
also
nothing
might
to do
get
with
fired.
Yeah,
the next week because they're back to in person. But
very true. Yeah, it was a short-lived promotion, but yeah. So that's I think the earliest that I can remember. But the question was sort of like, what was our experience with the GOML, or I'm trying to remember.
I just want to hear you talk about commentating or GOML, or I would hear you talk about anything right now, Radar. Don't even worry about questions.
Yeah, I guess like, I don't know. Like Walt said, I think our commentary is definitely kind of on the come up, which is a bit of a cliche thing and a bold statement, but I feel like it's the case. I think both Walt and I not only are actively trying to get better at it, we're also just like doing a lot of it. I don't know about Walt's schedule specifically, but I think I'm doing an event every single week for like the next 5 weeks or something, and then I'm also doing like the Xanadu's and other stuff on top of that. So like it's minimum that. So yeah, it's a lot, and it's exciting and cool, and it's good practice, and I'm sure Walt kind of feels the same. It's just sort of like trying to kind of get as good as we can, especially as online is coming to an end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Radar and Walt, I guess one thing I wanted to ask you guys is, by the time LAN majors return, like, and the scene is back in person, full force and everything, do you think that this is something that you two will be putting a lot more time toward, and toward maybe doing top 64 or top 32 at majors commentary?
I'm in there, baby. Yeah,
hell absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, like, I went to events before COVID happened, like a handful, and I would just go as media. So I figure, like, if I can go as media and do my filming thing and kind of like grab interviews and whatever. And Radar, actually, I know you and I have talked about this too, like when it comes to interviewing players and kind of generating content there. Like, doing commentary is kind of just a bonus to all of that. So I'm super down. I messaged about main stage also, because I feel like that would have been super dope, but I feel like it's really hard to kind of get a gauge on talent for all of that stuff right now, especially when there's limited registration slots because of COVID and everything. So it makes figuring out if I can go or not really challenging. So I'm kind of waiting to hear back about that one.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, go ahead if anyone. I heard but then no talking.
No, you're good. Hey, if you ever hear some heavy breathing, that's just my normal life. So,
well, I was just gonna say that.
Well, is your normal life hearing heavy breathing, or is it
being a part of it?
No, I like to think I hear the heavy breathing that I'm doing. So it's a little bit of both. So go on, Radar. You're saying that you're gonna be commentating top 8 of Genesis soon.
That's the goal, man. I mean, that would be one of the closest majors. I would say for me right now, a goal would be to like commentate a top 8 of like a really big tournament. I don't think I'm at the skill level. Well, I don't know, like maybe I'm underrating myself, but like I feel like I still have a way certainly to kind of climb to get there, to be sort of at least viewed as someone deserving of that spot. So yeah, but I'd love to commentate in-person events. I definitely do want to go to more events now that kind of COVID is wrapping up. I mean, I still haven't had my second shot yet. Canada was a little bit behind, although we're now doing really well in terms of first shots and stuff. And so I think we're overall in a good spot. But what I was going to say was, yeah, like I definitely want to be going to more events. I want to be doing more content, like Walt said. I already had a lot of plans for like interview related stuff beforehand. So now I'm just going to kind of move forward with that. And then I think like, hopefully I can make enough content to justify flying out places, or like, make enough money commentating or whatever to make it worth it. Cause I'm definitely down for it in a general sense.
Yeah. I think that the rise of Melee content has really been one of the biggest through lines of Melee throughout the pandemic. Now, the issue is that because like how great this is so amazing. But like whatever major back, Toussaint's gonna like make top 8, and suddenly he's gonna have to do like 50 different interviews. Everyone's gonna be there like on the spot. It's gonna be like Radar, and then like next in line's Walt, and then like I'm there or something. Like all like the amount of Melee content that is going to come from in-person stuff is so amazing. So I really want to talk about you guys were commentating GOML. Now I want to hear about the other side, about like the GOML side. But before I do that, I have to ask one question, which is like who's the Simon and who's the Garfunkel here?
What does that mean? Because I feel like that implies,
you're putting them on the spot with this.
Who doesn't want to be Paul Simon in that situation? Like that's a weird example to me.
Okay, Hall & Oates.
That's just as bad. I don't
get. You just be like 50-50. It's like...
What about Big Boy and Andre 3000?
Oh fuck, dude. Okay, so the answer that I can give that isn't responding to any of the prompts that you just gave. I think for me, I enjoy being more of a color caster, or at least that's kind of like what I've been working on in recent events. I think paired with Radar, like Radar is very good at like doing analysis and like breakdown of like play-by-play sort of things, but we kind of both like, that's the thing that's interesting about Melee, and I've talked about this at length with people in my Discord before, is that like a lot of what I personally draw from in terms of like content and styles of casting or shoutcasting or whatever comes from League of Legends. And I think League has like way more hard and fast roles of, okay, like Rivington is a shoutcaster, for instance, or like Captain Flowers is like, the color caster of the bunch. And then he has like an analyst to go with him for play-by-play. Melee is really hard to do that because the game's so fast that you can't just be like, the only one I can think of off the top of my head who's like a through and through color caster is Scar. And even then, like Toph isn't a through and through like play-by-play caster. Like you have to kind of flip between both of them because the game is so fast and it's like hard to keep up with everything. So long-winded answer that doesn't really relate to any of the question that you gave, but I think that you kind of have to be a little bit of Hall and a little bit of Oates.
Beautiful answer. What I hear is that you are Ringo and Radar's the other 3 Beatles. Well, let's get into it. I loved hearing you talk about GOML, talking about GOML. But let's just cut out the middleman. Let's just talk about GOML. This was a pretty cool tournament. Probably one of the last big. This is like the push for the last big events, right? We're gonna see this. We're gonna see Pound. We're gonna see Rollback Rumble, and then Gallant Summer, and then who knows where online majors go. But I am liking to see like what people have been pushing recently, because I definitely think there was a little bit of a lull after SCL, and with GOML, I think we're really getting back to maybe not like Mango Zane Grand Finals every week or whatever, but I think we're definitely getting to a little bit of a popping time for Melee. So what do you guys think of like the bracket? Was there anything like any cool sets? What really stood out to you guys?
I mean, one of the kind of stranger sets for me, having not been familiar with the Marth player John Wick, was that's kind of like how we started our block, and it was Axe versus John Wick, which of course like opened up a kind of Pandora's box of like bad movie jokes about John Wick, but also just like was a very, very close Marth Ditto, which I wasn't expecting. And I feel like that's kind of where we hit sort of our groove, and like it kind of like the event sort of just went up from there. So it was both a fun set to watch and like, fun to commentate. But beyond that, unfortunately, I didn't actually catch the very end of the tournament because I had to do like Father's Day stuff that day. But I'm trying to think of other sets. Walt, did any come to mind to you?
None. Bobby Big Balls was the most entertaining 3-0 I've ever seen. I think our clip of the last stock with Radar and myself casting it was at the top of the sub for a day or so, and it was captioned something like Bobby Big Balls does the most Bobby Big Balls combo of his life. Something about the transfer of circus energy power to Bobby, because he can just do the most insane combos known to mankind and then just kill himself at the end of it and not get anything for it. That one was really fun. I liked Eddie Mexico Brandon a lot because that one was just really competitive and we kind of expected it to be. And then shoot, what was the other one I was thinking of? Aklo Ginger was like so lit. And I gotta support Aklo and that like whenever I can.
Your teammate.
That's my teammate, man. That's my teammate. But yeah, I mean, he was getting kind of whooped by Ginger, like historically. So for him to just kind of 3-0 him and convincingly 3-0 him, and I understand like Ginger had the controller issues and everything like that. You know, that kind of goes without saying. But Akla played super well. Like you can't deny that. So
if I can point out one thing in this tournament that truly stunned me, it was the 17th place result of Mog defeating Gatsu. Talk about a set that I was not expecting to turn out like that. And it's funny because Mog ended up actually having a little bit of a run at this tournament. He would beat Azel afterward, then he beat Pappy before falling to Daki for 7th. But nonetheless, that's a really impressive 7th.
When we got his set versus Daki, I was like, I didn't want to say it on comms, but I was like, I don't know who he beat to get here, but I'm kind of shocked that he made it to here. Like he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, who did he beat to get here? Like
what I will say is that I think Mog, I've ran into him on unranked before. I've seen him play.
Oh God.
I will say I think what is the best way to describe Mog? I think Mog is among the most terrifying people to play. I think there's something about like someone that will just down smash like 3 times in a row and then get a nasty opening off of it and blow up your stock.
Like nasty opening, do you mean a 4th down smash? Because that was what his first stock was. It went in the set that me and Radar casted. He literally did 4 down smashes and took the stock. It was amazing.
I think
the controller's just the palette.
And I'll never I have a soft spot in my heart for Mog because during the 2019 MPGR season, he was one of the players whose results just randomly stood out as just incredible. Like in that year, he had beaten like Absent Page, Ginger, Army. I think there was someone else he beat. And this was like during a time when Tyler Swift's Pikachu was just like beating Mog a lot. So like Mog would go to a regional and he'd beat someone really good. So when comparing him with other people around like his perceived level, his national and regional resume was just incredidio. And I was like, I have no idea like how that like this guy is so nasty and like by his results, but just like how is he on an 8-set losing streak against Tyler Swift in 2019? Like, just, like a lot of things about Mog just like didn't really add up, but they like all pointed toward him being really good. So I always have a soft spot toward Mog.
Edwin, you have such rose-tinted glasses when looking at this. I distinctly remember the 2019 ranking season being most of Melee Stats calling Mog like super overrated and putting him like 95th. Now, 95th player in the world is still very good. Don't get me wrong, but it's very funny how you're using like winning like 10% of your sets versus Juicebox as being like, oh, what a player, what a lovely age that was.
Well, you have to. Okay, so I'll be fair. Weed is totally correct in this because between that and between him beating like Ginger, Absent Page, and Army or whatever. Like it was a tale of two cities, and oh my God, I have to. So I just think Mog is such a funny player. Like even if you've like ever caught his Twitch streams before, he just has like a very funny way of talking about the game and talking about other players and whatnot.
Can you guys hear me well? Like, is my audio fine?
Yeah, you've been a little crackly, but
so I'm getting like a lot of crackling like on this, and let me just double check if it's like what am I looking for? If I should change like the buffer rate or something, like because I'm getting like crackling from you guys. I could try leaving the call and rejoining. Don't know if that would work. It would probably.
I'm only getting it from your end. If that's any.
I'm getting it from all. So why don't I just Can I try rejoining? Sorry for these issues, but
it'll just drop your cam, I think. So
okay, hopefully, give me 1 sec.
While he's trying to pop back in,
yeah,
also,
let's talk about him real quick. What's your least favorite thing he does?
Oh, Radar?
Yeah.
Oh God, hang on. I have a notepad with this.
It's hard.
I'm just kidding.
It's hard to pick number one, right?
That sounded
just,
too sincere.
There's so many good ones. No, Radar's great, man. Love that guy. What's funny is that like we've done so many things together at this point, and like, you know, one of the big talking points I think the two of you have for us tonight is content, and it's like we've never done content together. Like if you don't count like commentary as content or whatever, you know what I mean?
Look, everything's content, my man.
We never done YouTube together.
Who hasn't?
You and me.
You and I?
Yeah.
We did. We do our podcast.
Yeah, but that doesn't count.
Didn't we do something else?
All right, I wanted
I
to.
don't think so.
I wanted to actually confess something to you, Walt, and I think.
Okay.
And I want to confess
Did
to
I
you.
get my shot ready? I've been holding this all night.
I wanted to confess something to you because I want to confess it to the table, but I know you'll never look at me the same after this.
Oh God.
I don't want to hear that. That's not a good preface at all.
It's not too bad. It's minor.
Walt, do you know Jeffrey Dahmer?
So I know that before the event, Axe announced that he was going secondaries. And come Sunday or so, I saw that he was in winner's side of top 16, and he was doing pretty well against Ginger, right? Like with his Marth. Axe is a pretty good Marth. He has a lot of great characters. And I felt bad because part of me, it just felt wrong seeing like Axe like be in a position where he could potentially win the event and just like beat everyone. And somewhere in my head, I was like, please, like Axe cannot win this event. Like this is wrong. Like there's so many people here. He's playing a secondary. Like he hasn't gone Pikachu for a lot of the year. Like it's wrong. He can't win GOML here. Please, Ginger, please beat Axe's Marth. And Ginger ended up beating Axe's Marth. But I need to confess that to you because I know you're a big Axe fan and believer.
I was gonna be like, wait, why is this directed at me? Like,
yeah, I was confused.
Like, I love Jeff. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I love Axe, but you know, I like Melee, so I'm just down with whatever. It's kind of like the thing about like when you cast those sets too, though now, especially online, that I think is a big plus to online is you can just like pop open the Twitch chat and like that's what's been kind of good for downtime is like Radar will be really interactive with chat, and if people will say stuff, they'll be like, yeah. And then someone started this whole controversy in the GOML chat. I remember, I think you might have seen it too, Radar, where some guy was like, casters should not look at chat. Like this is just removing from the situation. It is fucking ridiculous that these casters are even reading chat right now in the middle of this game. And I remember I just replied to him on Twitch and I was like, yeah, you're right, man. Like they just need to shut the fuck up. Like this is crazy. So like, but it's nice to be able to just kind of like pull up the chat. But the thing is, kind of going back to the thing about being a fan of Axe is that like if you're biased, chat will make sure you know it like right away. So the minute I started talking about Eddie Mexico for more than 3 sentences because I like Mario Brothers,
right,
like Yahoo, they're plumbers, this is awesome. Everyone was like, wow, this dude must really be Eddie Mexico biased. And it's like, no, I love Brandon, but I'm just talking about what Eddie's doing because it's important and he's playing a low tier and people don't know about this shit. So
yeah, there's definitely like a pretty big thing in commentators who might not be like, trying to think of an example of someone who knows every single in and out, right, of the cast. Like if you are a main, like if you're a Falcon main, you might know more about Falcon, and you might find yourself talking more about Falcon than like Peach or whatever. If you're watching Falcon Peach, you might not want to overstep your bounds and talk about like slapdashing or something that you might not know about. And I definitely think that like biting your tongue on things that you don't know about can come around and bite you in the butt, because chat's definitely like sees you talk about one thing more and they're like, I've never listened to such biased commentary.
They're piranhas, dude. Like I can't. And they swarm you. And they just eat you alive.
Share, like kind of a funny story that happened during the commentary that reminded me of this whole like talking with the chat. This is probably what prompted it.
Wait, at GOML?
At GOML,
okay.
there was a time where we were commentating some game Marth on FD, and I said something like Marth on FD, you know, they're just like a perfect combination. They go together like chocolate and vanilla or whatever. And then in the chat, people were like, chocolate and vanilla don't go together.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And then someone else was like,
you?
what do you mean chocolate and vanilla? Of course they go together, like ice cream with chocolate sauce. And then people were like, no, chocolate and vanilla are literally opposites. And then someone else was like, I can't believe you guys think chocolate and vanilla go together. This is like wine and pickles. And then someone was like, what the hell are you talking about? It's not. So eventually I'm just commentating, and I'm like looking at this side, and people are like, they are not the same, blah, blah, blah. And they're just like both criticizing my, you know how like when you're commentating, sometimes you say things and you're like, that's not what I meant to say, but we just gotta keep moving. And so like I was really trying to go for something like milk and cookies, but like went for chocolate and vanilla, which I would still say is not a crazy combination.
So Radar, I can scroll up in my Discord like 3 like rotations on my scroll wheel, and my server started chatting and was that? Like, since when has chocolate and vanilla ever gone together? And I just responded. I said, hey, how about you shut the fuck up? Because I'm tired of it. Like
during all this, at one point, because like literally it was like 20 people in the chat being like arguing, not even necessarily all against me, but like just back and forth. And I was like, that was a very exciting game. But unfortunately, the chat is still trying to figure out, does chocolate and vanilla go together? And then like the whole chat was just like, LOL. So it was around that time I could easily see someone being like, why are they checking chat? But I certainly was like, oh my God, guys. Like,
dude, Radar, I have to say, you messed up big time. I did not know that was a thing. I did not know you said that. I am going to be in your DMs for like a week straight talking about this.
Absolutely. It's just
scientific
it's a terrible
papers,
mistake.
Like just references.
Yeah, I mean, that must be so tough on commentary too, because you have to immediately move on, right? Like you can't reflect back on a bit that's already done or a phrase that you've already said. See, this is why I could never be a commentator, because it would be in the back of my mind the entire time. And I would have to like address it. I'd be like, I apologize for saying chocolate and vanilla. I should have used a better point of comparison.
You tweet out the next day, it's a black background with white text. I sincerely apologize.
Yeah,
for my remarks yesterday.
I will be removing myself from commentary.
Yeah, it's got like a video of me attached to it, and I start it with like the deep YouTuber sigh, like.
The video's called like it's time to stop or something.
No, the video is just titled "I'm sorry." Like,
I said this in a Mixup episode. I can't remember who the guest was, but like the prime example was probably because I did commentary years ago, like when I was in college, and I really enjoy it. Like that was the reason why I started getting back into it. Fun fact: I casted and streamed the quote unquote worst event ever in South Carolina. And Slap Shoes, the NASCAR YouTuber, made a video about it. It's very great. And you'll see me in there as a young 19-year-old just doing my thing.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'm known for the worst tournament in Melee. But at least when I was in college.
Okay. No, that's honestly like so memorable. Like that's sick.
Yeah, I was shocked that he made it as a total side note because he's like mostly NASCAR. But the thing that really gets me like from harping about past things, like what you said, Edwin, was one of the first online events I started doing. I was probably Untitled that I was doing with Save back in 2020, like when this whole thing started. I remember I said something. There was a Peach playing, and I brain farted, and I was like, "Yeah, you know, Peach is holding a turnip, so she can't aerial." I said. And then in my head, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I know that's not true. Like, why did I just say that?
It just comes out sometimes.
Yeah. And then, but chat was on it like white on rice, dude. They were just like, is this guy a fucking idiot, man? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, she can't aerial because she's holding an item? Like, you're so stupid. And I was just like, I can't even respond because then I'm going to look petty if I answer in chat and be like, all right, it was a slip of the tongue. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I obviously know this. Like, I make YouTube videos about this stuff all the time. Come on, like cut me a break here. But those things happen all the time, and it never gets any less brutal, I think.
I would literally say like 70% of the stuff I would say is pretty good, and the other 30% is me saying something and being like, oh, what the hell? Like, and not even necessarily something like wrong, like, oh, you can't throw an item or whatever, or can't use aerials anymore.
Not anything. Yeah, you wouldn't say anything that's stupid. Only.
Well, it's kind of like
chocolate and vanilla.
I think it's like when you're doing a bit.
Comparisons.
Like if you're a caster like Slime, who is very talented, you know, but then you say something like, "This is like when you're in the bathroom and there's only one toilet and you got to share it." and like you got to commit to whatever line you were going for, even though, you know, maybe after the fact he was like, oh, maybe that didn't make a lot of sense, but like, but then everyone's like, still, that was really, really hilarious, so I'm just gonna go with it anyway. You know, you just kind of roll with the punches.
I wouldn't even say stuff like that. It's more just like stumbling over your words. Like you normally would say a sentence like, oh, an axe moves up to the platform and, you know, gets the up air, and now that's the edge guard. But instead you say the platform is up there, and which is where axe is, and you're like, oh god, fucking hell. And like you just sort of start to stumble through it, and then like you go back to a normal good sentence, and then you hit another one where it's like he might get the up air or he might not, and that's a good thing because it would start the edge guard, and you think, oh, you can do
I think one of the funniest things that you can hear, and I say this with no judgment, like it's genuinely a charming thing, is when commentators are really excited, so they'll say things, but they'll say it in the strangest intonation.
Yeah,
like sick there, dude. Or
we can't talk about that one.
Can you voice crack on command like that? That was insane.
I guess not that one, but
yeah, no, there are definitely some great ones that you'll hear sprinkled throughout some top 8s. I particularly like, what was the one with it was Scar talking about like Lovage versus Leffen. He's like it might have been Lovage. I forget which one. They're both commentating, I believe. It's like, oh no, Lovage is spilling the. Why would Lovage be commentating? Lovage is spilling the fettuccine Alfredo, and Leffen's wearing black. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I know what it means. I get it. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I love those little top 8 moments where I couldn't explain it. You could give me like a thesis, like I could not explain it in like 5,000 words what it means at all. But I think those moments are great.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Wait, can I just quickly?
8.
Wait, can I just quickly get this out of the way? One of my favorite moments of something like this happening is Mango versus Leffen at Genesis 4 when Scar goes, "Oh no, for
Leffen!" Edwin, you just struck a nerve because I literally am working on a video on that right now. So.
Damn, leaks.
Damn, dude.
I'll talk to you guys about it after though.
Leaks.
Nice.
Moves are like bread.
Your secret is safe with us and our 15 viewers.
That's right.
Yeah.
16. Yeah, dude. So it's always fun to see those little moments in top 8. And hey, speaking of top 8s, we saw a pretty interesting top 8 at Get On My Line. Now, the most interesting thing about this, other than like Mog appearing there, is probably the.
You said other than, meaning that you acknowledge that Mog's presence was.
Dude, Mog making top 8 is weird as fuck. We don't have enough time to talk about that. What I want to talk about is guess how many West Coast players were in this top 8?
A lot. Wait, no, not a lot, because Canada counts as East Coast, right?
0.
It's just Daki, right?
Or
Daki and Bobby Big Balls, who I believe
Bobby's not West Coast. Oh, he's
so
Texas,
Bobby
right?
is Texas, and I believe for this tournament, Texas was given the choice to enter East Coast.
Oh, you get just parity. You can just be like, all right,
do whatever.
Which bracket looks easier? Like I'm down.
Poppy was in West Coast, and I believe Bobby was in East Coast for whatever reason. But like, yeah, I mean, you could call whatever you want, 8-2 or 6-2 or 7-1, whatever it is. There's like a pretty clear definition between East Coast and West Coast in the events that we've been seeing. And I know you two love to talk about the big topics, the topics that the world, the Melee world at large. And I don't know if there's a topic that is on this level, like East Coast versus West Coast. We have talked about this in the past, and I feel like the answers might have been a little different. But right now, I think there's no way that you can act as if West Coast is better than East Coast. And I guess I got to ask, like, how long do you think this stands? Like, we're seeing LANs appear. LAN locals are definitely appearing, and we're seeing LAN majors being announced. Like, in a few months, and we can have consistent LAN locals or like LAN regionals, LAN majors. How do you think this all ends up? Like, does East Coast still tower over West Coast? Like, I want to hear how far you think this goes.
I'm glad that you're kind of in agreement that it does not even feel close that like which coast is harder. Like, East Coast is almost always going to be a harder bracket. It's funny because like I live on the West Coast now, but like even though Canada's layout is weird because like Ontario and New York are actually like pretty close, and like New York would be considered like a coast, right? But Canada, it's like that's not the East Coast. But then when you think of like when people talk about East Coast and Canada, this is not important. The important thing is I'm from Ontario, so I kind of grew up like I would be playing on East Coast brackets if I still lived there. So I kind of still associate myself mentally with that region. But I live on the West Coast, even in terms of commentary stuff. Like I do a lot of East Coast commentary despite living here. But that's just kind of more convenient. Anyway, I think it's like clearly the East Coast is better. And I think the conversation becomes more interesting when you look at like the top 10 and like who's in the top 10. But even if you do that, it's still the East Coast, isn't it? Like if you think about like Zane, IBDW, Nun and Moki, Ginger, Hbox, like that's just kind of a couple people that come to mind as like top 10 level. I don't know the exact.
Well, it's more than a couple, but I see what you're saying.
Like, you know, of the top 10, I don't have the entire 10, but like, so who isn't in that list? It's like S2J, Mango, SFAT. Like, is there someone else that's like a really big competitor for that top slot that like?
Yeah, it's tough right now. I definitely think that there are a lot of good players who could contend for that, who we just have not been seen. Like this, God, I was gonna say this time last year, COVID has ruined any conception of time. 18 months ago, Fiction was a top 10 player.
That's right.
Yeah,
Fiction was a top 7 player, and Captain Face Roll was, you know, beating Mutant King, every one of Mutant King's characters. Spark existed. Like,
I'm glad you bring that up.
We have definitely seen. Yeah, go on, Edwin.
Yeah, sorry. I completely agree with what you're saying, and I feel kind of compelled, despite living in Boston, to defend the West Coast honor here. I think at the top level, and certainly like among the active net play crowds, it would be, you know, I can't deny that the East Coast has an advantage, but I think the West Coast gets hurt a lot by not have any. I think the West Coast gets hurt a lot by their inactives a lot more than the East Coast, because between like you mentioned Fiction and Face Roll, but I want to mention that Spark is also not around.
I did mention Spark, but okay.
Yeah, he mentioned Spark.
Okay. Oh, okay. I missed that.
Keep going though.
I think that even at the top level, I think like right at the border of just in terms of how he looks right now, I think Lucky's had a pretty great last like month and a half. Yeah. I don't think they run anywhere as deep within the current competitive field, but that's because I feel like, you know, just based on my interactions with players from both crowds, I feel like East Coast has a much more developed net play culture in terms of like like attending tournaments, grinding, talking about grinding, like talking about tournament results. That's like kind of like a very big thing in the East Coast, at least in my opinion. That's not quite there for the West Coast, but nonetheless, I feel kind of compelled to defend their honor, because just somewhere in the back of my mind, like I know that NorCal and SoCal alone have so many inactives that are just incredibly dangerous. And like if at Genesis, if I see like Arcadia. I was gonna say like at the mid level, like a NorCal.
You're really digging there, dude. Arcadia. Okay, I want to hear this.
The NorCal Arcadian level players are like borderline PR players are terrifying.
I thought you meant Arcadia the player.
Oh yeah.
Well, him too. He's pretty good too. But I just think there's so many, like, to me, there's nothing more dangerous than like a SoCal, like outside of like tournaments featuring PR players. I think the SoCal Arcadian is still like one of the most terrifying events that
it's funny that you say that. Like I made the California PR video for 2019, and the comment that sticks out when you say that was someone wrote a comment that was something along the lines of, if you are PR'd in SoCal, you are essentially top 20 in the world. Like, which was insane. And that was actually the year that IBDW was there for like a season, I guess. So the top 5 was like Mango, I forget who was 2, IBDW, Fiction, Captain Face Roll, Like just
dude, SFAT was like
lineup.
5 or something. Like,
yeah. SFAT was below all of them, which was crazy.
Like, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like I think this. I think people are. I definitely think the East Coast has an advantage. I just think the way people talk about West Coast now is as if like this region is just like utter trash, and it's like no, they're really just missing a lot of people who just like don't care that much about rollback. And I will say, just kind of as like a last note to this, I think like in general, like if you look at each region, like the kind of the culture of a region tends to follow its top players for better or worse. And I think it's kind of hilarious when you think of like the East Coast and like East Coast net play or whatever. Like I guess IBDW is not really like an active locals competitor on net play, but like he's someone that's talked about like the importance of like grinding and stuff. Then you got like your Gingers, your Aklos, and like Gatsus and stuff like that. Like just constantly attending tournaments, like talking about it, like being there. And like I think a lot of them are kind of like louder personalities or more like active. Whereas like on the West Coast, I think like two of the biggest tourney grinders on net play are Kadoran and S2J. And those two are not, I know S2J had that like number 3 tweet and everything, but those two don't really have like loud personalities like Ginger or whatever. I just think that's kind of like a funny coincidence with.
I definitely think that if you look at just like top 10 players, I think if you just go through the grinders there, I think S2J and SFAT are huge grinders. I don't think SFAT's not the like attend TMT or attend. Can you even attend an online one? Like partake in TMT every week. But he's been someone who just like, if there is a big tournament, SFAT's probably going to be there. S2J is that. He's like locals monster and then still does all the top stuff. But you're right. There is like, S2J is not going to tweet about how many locals he attends or whatever, like, you know, Ginger might. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny. And I definitely think that as we get into LAN, like being something that we will see like a really great deal of coming, I think that this could possibly shift. You know, we talked about like Fiction. We talked about Face Roll. I think that those two players could come back and still do really well. I really don't know what's Army, what his deal is. Icy's, dude, I can't talk to the Mixup about Icy's. That's going to be a whole Mixup episode. 4 hours long. Our Icy's still relevant.
Dude, Chudat almost got into Summit. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't want to get into
it. He had the run of his life, man. We're going to have to get into it.
Look, there's a lot of different reasons I don't want to get into that.
Mentioning?
Yeah.
No, well, what I'm going to say, like, I think that, like, right now, so I could be wrong, and I'd love people to correct me. Isn't East Coast internet architecture better? Like, isn't the average experience for people on the East Coast with internet better, or am I wrong? Because
I literally have no idea.
Wait, where's the one place where you get fiber? Like that one state?
I mean, I have fiber, but
oh, well, okay, weird flex.
This is no. This reminds me of when Radar, we were doing 5 days of Melee, and he kept talking about free healthcare.
Shut up.
It was like, oh, I could crash my car today and I get free healthcare. Oh, I might just do that for fun.
I definitely wouldn't go that far based on the fact that I was in a car accident and I'm certainly not getting everything for free. But the point is, I think.
Okay, like, well, now you're making me feel very bad.
The point is, what I feel is like the common complaint with West Coast people is like, oh, the connection's bad. It just seems like West Coast people don't seem to like net play as much. And you could go and say like to people, oh, that's because like culturally they just don't like net play as much. But I think there's probably something to be said for like there's like a more systemic issue underneath it all when you peel back the kind of first layer.
I actually don't know whether what you're saying is true or not, but I like the materialist focus that you're going in, Radar. Right, we should talk sometime.
Let's go all the way back.
This a conspiracy theory, like
I could see it being true.
Here?
Like I don't know. Like
I like your
the Twilight Zone music.
We have to start at the beginning. The 13 colonies.
True.
Actually, Jamestown. Is Jamestown the reason why East Coast is better than West Coast in Melee?
Actually, yeah.
This is my like real hour and a half long video.
Yeah, exactly.
No. I mean, I think you're right. Like, definitely the infrastructure of the regions is pretty important. If you talk about how many major cities are within like 8 hours drive of each other, on the East Coast, it's like that's pretty big. And when it comes to the West Coast, they do have a lot of populous cities, but generally not as close. And could that be part of it? I don't know. Dude, if you want to talk about why internet connections in different parts of America are better or worse, I think that is like it's a different podcast. That is like a podcast that NPR produces or something. So I'm not sure if we're ready for that, but I think that's a non-zero part of it.
Wasn't that a big part of like why it was I mean, I guess this is kind of a rabbit hole, but like, wasn't that a big part of why it was difficult for net play in some regions of South America or something?
I think so.
I believe that. So I think this even, obviously this affects Melee, but I think that there's been like issues with games that actually try to run online stuff like CSGO or whatever when it comes to South America. I think that the way that the routing is done in South America is actually like really not feasible to like run a like a tournament that makes sense. So I don't know. I mean, look, I'm on the Smash World Tour thing and everything. I know the Chileans have an easier time playing Brazilians than they do people in other countries, like people who might be closer to them than like people who are from Brazil. I think we're kind of getting into the weeds now.
A little bit, yeah. Point being, East Coast, West Coast, it seems like East Coast is better, right? Like,
I want to see, we gotta do a crew battle, and it cannot be top 10 East Coast versus top 10 West Coast. We have to do like we'll do a whole 50 player ranking, and it'll be like,
oh my god,
it'll be like the 41 to 50 of each region versus each other, and that's how we truly determine.
Yeah, like... I'm imagining everyone's like bored in the middle or whatever, but me and Wheat are just going crazy for J-Salt versus like.
No, I'm not talking about like run a 50 person crew battle. I'm saying you rank 50 players, and then 1 through 40 are not allowed in. 41 through 50. It's a 10-person crew battle. Okay. And then
so J-Salt still qualifies.
Yeah, you're watching like Tanuki play the Leaf or something.
So, you're saying like a 50 for each. I got it. All
right, Edwin, I think you've got a little treat for us, don't you?
Yeah, I do. So, Walt and Radar, welcome to your first appearance on the Edwin Budding Stock Exchange. It's basically like a speed round table. Speed round table, is that a thing? Okay, so it's basically like
a category for Jeopardy.
So it's basically like a round table where I ask you guys a series of questions. Each of you give me your 30-second responses, and there's going to be like 3 different segments. I'll briefly explain the segment, and when I'm done with that, I'll ask you questions for each segment. And each of you kind of like go back and forth, giving your answers. The person with the best answers at the end of the whole game gets a minute to talk about whatever they want. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yes. Okay. I also, hang on, Edwin, I was thinking about this just so you know, because I know that you do this on all the waiting for games, and you need to get some type of like stinger when you're like, it's the Edwin Budding Stock Exchange, and then like rap air horns and like a roulette machine sound goes off, and it's like, and it's like, and like just goes all over the place.
So I have personally been on the pro soundboard side of the.
I already see Ambi typing for you.
Ambi, oh no, Ambi and Wheat have just been massive wieners about this because these two just
no. You are going to get here. You'll be like, "Hey, what's up, waiting for gamers? Did anyone
absolutely
see yesterday's
You're making me sound like a variety YouTuber or something.
No,
I would not go that
like
far.
A morning zoo caster. You're going to be like, "Hey, we're gonna prank call IBW or something like that."
I just want my own majority report. Is that asking
just do your radio segment like you just got into the Edwin Budding Stock Exchange, and then
literally
like
all I want is just like a horn.
It will be a slippery
2 or 3
slope.
Things. That's
it. It will lead to. I don't know how Edwin will be canceled somehow. But
all I'm saying is, if you ever want to JT it and do your own thing with the stock exchange, I'm all in on a soundboard. That's
not a bad idea.
Like,
why not?
I would be okay.
Play a couple notes.
Yeah.
Transition in. You know.
Look.
All right. As much as I love talking about this segment, I think we should start it. Okay.
All right. Let's do it.
You guys ready?
Sure, I guess.
You got them all riled up.
All right. The first segment is called Buy One, Sell One. This is a rewording of the buy or sell segment. So essentially, I'm going to name 2 things.
Why?
And you have to buy one of them, but you have to sell the other. So with that said, Wheat, I want you to tell me which stock you're buying and which stock you're selling. Gatsu and Hungrybox. Which one are you buying? Which one are you selling? Go.
Come on, I would buy both if you gave me the opportunity. Gatsu recently lost to Kata. I'm gonna do that thing that I did with Lethon on every Deep Dives episode where I said that his losses don't matter and they're not indicative of his future performance. But I will always buy H-Box. The dude is unfortunately a natural born winner. Even if he gets 49th at every single tournament he enters, he is going to get like $50,000 a month through Twitch donations alone. So I will buy H-Box and I will sell Gatsu.
Walt, buy one, sell one.
Here's the thing. This is an easy one. It's easily Hungrybox. Hungrybox is the meme stock of this universe. It's our AMC. It's our GameStop. Gatsu is the NASDAQ. You know it's going to perform every year. You know you're going to get your incremental raises. But is that really what you want if you're investing? Come on now. The answer is simple.
And Radar, you get the last word.
So I'm going to also say buy H-Box for the same reason that when people argue about, like, if I went back in time and I were to play like Ken, who would win? I think there is something about a person who can be number one again, and like who can be at the top. Like there's mental stuff that goes down in there. And so Gatsu hasn't demonstrated the ability to be top one, like to be number one, top 3. So that's why I would sell and buy H-Box.
All right. Our second buy one, sell one question. Walt, Doc or Luigi? Go.
Well, biases are fucking bullshit here. I have to buy Doc, and for the same reason. If I'm investing in stocks, I'm going to invest in what I love, and that's Dr. Mario. So I mean, listen,
that's when people go bankrupt.
Luigi's great, but he's a gimmick stock. You know, he's not a meme stock like AMC. He's not going to go the distance. I know the squeeze ain't coming for Luigi. The thing is, Dr. Mario, he's got his PhD. He's got everything he needs right now. Listen, I don't have free healthcare, but I got Doc stocks.
Radar?
I also would not say Doc. I would say Luigi as the one I'm buying. I just think overall, like, Luigi has like slight advantages in certain matchups would be my assessment. I feel like the only thing that Doc really has over Luigi right now, it feels to me, top of mind is pills. Beyond that, they feel pretty comparable. So I buy Luigi, sell Dr. Mario.
And wait, what do you think?
I'm going to buy Luigi. I'll sell Doc. But purely on the basis that Fat Goku, who I believe is a top 40 player, I don't think Fat Goku is going to lose to a Doc. And yet, Fat Goku will always have that weird Luigi loss every year. And I think that alone will pull Luigi up top.
Okay, I'll wait until after the segment's over. I'm sorry.
And for the final question of buy one, sell one, Radar, Mushroom Kingdom 2 or Yoshi's Island?
Which one's 2 again?
I
want to make sure I know which one.
All right, Radar,
hit the soundboard.
I'm still going to pick Yoshi's Island, by the way. I don't like either of the kingdoms, but I'm going to pick Yoshi's Island just because it's a more enjoyable stage, even though both of them suck. So buy, sell, Mushroom Kingdom 2.
All right,
I don't think he knows what Yoshi's Island is.
Yeah, I do. Okay,
it's not your turn.
Considering he doesn't know what Mushroom Kingdom 2 is, I think that he doesn't know the difference between Yoshi's Island or Yoshi's Island 64 or Yoshi's Story. Yoshi's Island is not fun. Mushroom Kingdom 2, kind of overrated, but very fun stage. Every time Birdo comes out, I think that I'm going to be like the next cool player. I'm gonna be the next save state, and I like Z drop the egg into like Nair, and I act like I'm the coolest person in the world. But I'm obviously not. But regardless of that, I'm gonna pick Mushroom Kingdom 2.
And Walt?
I would have picked Yoshi's Island, but that's not the one with the panning out camera. That was the reason that I wanted to go with. For that reason, I'm out, and I'm gonna pick Mushroom Kingdom 2 because that one ad with the Golden Guardians, they're always playing on and just having a really great time. And you know, if I enjoy having fun with my friends, then I'm probably going to go to Mushroom Kingdom 2, throw a couple back with the boys, and you know, have the time of my life.
Can I embarrass myself further? So Mushroom Kingdom 2, please. I was correct.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
It was the Yoshi's Island that I got wrong. I was like, isn't that I was thinking of the other Yoshi stage. Or is it a Kirby
64?
Stage?
There's a lot of Yoshi
Wait,
stages.
Island
wait.
64.
I'm going to begin our new segment. And by new
Oh,
segment, I
shit.
mean just new for today's show. Is it a bubble? In this segment, I'm going to name a Smash stock, and you're going to tell me if it's a bubble or not. Essentially, it's going to be one that's currently
Like,
valued at a high price.
Trans or
right?
Palika.
Oh, bubble or squeeze?
Yeah, so Wheat, tell me, is Smash TikTok a bubble?
No, Smash TikTok is not a bubble. I think TikTok is a like, dude, these apps come so quickly and they go so quickly. So the fact that like TikTok has stuck around longer than like Quibi or whatever says that's going to stick around. And I think the idea of putting content on there is a really smart one. Melee Stats tried it, didn't really work out. But other than that, I think that the idea of putting content out to a audience that like probably might not be on YouTube or Twitch, I think that's a great idea. I don't think it's a bubble.
Walt?
When you say bubble, do you mean that like it will fade? So like it'll pop soon and it like won't be good?
Yeah, do you think it'll pop or do you think it'll keep going up?
No, I think it's not a bubble. Because people were having this discussion on if it was a bubble a year ago when it was like starting to pop off. And I was a TikTok hater when it first came out, but I enjoy it as just like the everyman consumer of media on there. I think that in the concept of Melee, what it's doing is very good in bringing in people that don't know anything about the game and still don't. But yeah, I mean, vertical videos are kind of whack. So,
And Radar?
Vertical videos are indeed whack, but that doesn't make TikTok a bubble. I actually just released a TikTok today, by the way. Check it out at Radar SSBM. Radar SSBM. But point being, I think there's just a lot of space for growth there, and I think Melee in particular is going to struggle a bit, or not struggling, needs to get more of the kind of younger people. Like, it's the people who grew up with Melee that are still playing it, and we have a harder time kind of getting the people who weren't born when Melee was around, first came out. So TikTok is the way to do that, I think, or one way to do that. Not a bubble.
All right. Aklo, for the second is it a bubble question, Shit, I said Aklo. Walt, for the second is it a bubble question, is Aklo's link on FD a bubble or not?
Absolutely not. There's no way. He has what it takes, man. And if that's the counter pick for Peach, I'm all in. If we're gonna get timeouts on a stage with no platforms, then more power to him. God save the king, and I really hope he goes far with it because the hero of time doesn't stop from any timeouts on on that player. But no, he's not a bubble. It's that's gonna keep going, and I hope it keeps going for the rest of the time.
What do you have to say, Radar?
1 second. Are you guys getting like robotic stuff? Because I'm seeing in the chat.
Oh my god.
Is that
no? It sounds fine on my end.
Okay, it sounds bad on my end, but I'll answer the question. I think it's definitely matchup dependent, but I think there are going to be matchups. I'll leave the call and rejoin. I don't know why it's doing this, but there are matchups where it is a bubble. 1 sec, guys.
I think he's conceding this one. As well.
He's conceding. All right, we tell me, is Aklo's link on FD a bubble?
This is very unfortunate, but it's not a bubble. I'd really wish it were. And the thing with Aklo is that he is a good enough player where those games that he wins on FD versus Peach or versus whatever versus Marth, I think are definitely doable games that he could win versus Fox. And yet we have to go through this whole shit show of him playing Link and then have him acting like he's not trying to BM while like very obviously BMing. My whole Aklo scenario is that if he were Japanese, he wouldn't get into this. Like, dude, if he just didn't speak English, the idea of like a Link player BMing people and going Link on FD would be like everyone would love him. Unfortunately, we can understand what he says. And
oh man, this guy just loves Melee so much he's taunting. Like, this is so cool.
Yes. All right, thank you for your answer. Radar, you get to start the last question of the Is It a Bubble segment. Is our rollback exhibition events a bubble or not? Go.
That's the best question so far, I'd say. I feel like that's the hardest for me. Like, I really don't know. I'm gonna say yes. I think it's a bubble. I think actually for exhibition events specifically, they'll want to have like inviting people at least at the scale that they are now, where it's like an event that's sponsored and big and stuff, and not just something that like a smaller streamer does. I think yeah, it is a bubble, maybe.
And Wheat?
Yeah, it's a bubble, but you want to hear why? It's because exhibition events are a bubble. We go through this every few years where we're like, we are just so in love with Apex 2015 Salty Sweet that we think that this is going to be a thing that we're going to do all the time. And like every time people unfortunately have very real beef, people be like, you got to play it out, man. First to 5. But I mean, I don't think that Smash will have Melee in particular will have a sustained exhibition, future. And as cool as they are right now, and I do think that they are going to continue with rollback, I don't think people would want to pay, like a sponsor would want to pay $1,000 for travel and housing to see like Ginger play Billy Bo Peep or whatever. I do think that we will see this, but I think it's a bubble. It's all a bubble. This world's a bubble, man.
And finally, Walt.
All right, they are, but they absolutely shouldn't be. I kind of disagree with what Wheat has to say about the Apex 2015 thing, because I just think that exhibition sets can and should be a thing. The serious answer that I have for that is because the level of content that they put out, like per capita compared to just a traditional tournament, is fucked up, and it's just insane how much shit you can get out of it. If you look at Octagon 2 as the prime example, it's like you have promo images, you have trailers, you have pre-shows. For Plup Showdown, for instance, I did a pre-show that appeared for every single thing. What you guys do as Melee Stats is like a prime example of all of this, where you can literally just talk about head-to-heads because you know what the matches are going to be in advance. You don't have to worry about random shakeups, random shit like that happening. They absolutely are a bubble, but they should not be for the foreseeable future.
Okay, that ends the Is It a Bubble segment. Now is the next segment is, are you buying the dip? Which is when I'm going to name a stock that currently has low or underrated value, and you're going to tell me whether you're buying it with the expectation that it's going to jump right back up. So Wheat, tell me, are you buying the dip on Dreffin?
Yeah. Dreffin will never not be bad versus anyone over the age of 18. Seriously, like, I think Dreffin will still continue to get top 32 at every major he attends, unless he is playing a 16-year-old Fox main. In that case, give me that 16-year-old every single opportunity. But I think the way that brackets shake up is that he is not going to get that 16-year-old Fox main every time. So I will, of course, buy the dip on Dreffin. And Hanky Panky isn't going to go to a major, so...
All right, listen, Edwin, I was born and raised an ape, so I'm always going to buy the dip no matter what. But the thing is about Dreffin could sell at $400 a share, GameStop level in 2021, and I would still call that a discount buy every single time, because there's no way that Dreffin will ever not outperform his chart on the stock market. And I'm going to hold to that to the day I die, no matter what. If I go in the red, it doesn't even matter, because I know I still won at the end of the day.
And Radar?
Oh, he's muted.
Concede.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I saw that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. You got 30 seconds to tell me if you're buying Dreffin or not.
I would also
30 seconds already started.
I would already buy the Dreffin dip. The only thing that would make me doubtful of it is just like if he kind of becomes more and more of like a family man, is moving away from Smash. But I think in terms of his abilities as a player, I would, base my decision on buying that. Yeah, it's good.
No,
all right.
Dreffin has had a family for a long time, and he will still drive to 45 minutes to a local to down smash.
I'm aware.
Sell it 5 times in a row.
Well, I want you to tell me if you're buying the dip on Plup Samus.
I'm in hands. Yeah, all day. All day. I hope it comes back, and I'm never going to sell, is the thing. Yeah, it's amazing. I want him to bring it out. I want it to be a seasonal thing where it's like, your stock goes down every couple years, and you're like, oh, shit, Plup Samus, hasn't been around in a while. But then it just shoots right back up. You have one magic year every so often, and that's when I'm capitalizing on the fact that I haven't sold yet.
And Radar?
I'll do you one better. I'm selling Samus, period. Like, Samus is terrible. I don't think there's any reason for Plup to play her. I think if he does, it's only because he's way better than someone or thinks that they're like terrible at a matchup. So sell. Samus sucks.
I'll buy. now this is like it's the thing you buy. You really don't expect anything to come out of it, but you're like, hey, I've got this. Is this cool?
That's right.
And every now and then those things, like, there's probably a bunch of weird nostalgic people who bought like Dunkaroos stock, and then Dunkaroos came back. So yeah, I'll buy. If the Samus never comes back, then I can show it off at bars or whatever to impress women. And if it does come back, we're chilling. We're big chilling. I think there's a pretty good chance that throughout all of his characters, he will go emo again and pick up Samus. Okay. And I'm sure he'll do well.
All right, Radar. The last question for Are You Buying the Dip? Are you buying the dip on NorCal?
Yeah, for sure. I think they just it's just such a big region with a long history. I think, there's always room for people to both come back and players to get more into it. That lands back. So yeah, I don't have any issues. I think it's definitely going to go back up. I would buy.
So I've been to NorCal a few times. I have a friend who lives in the Bay Area, and I think that the Bay Area is a beautiful place that is unfortunately a modernist hellhole. Like every single VC related company is based there. And I think that because of that, it will attract like PR level players from other regions will always end up at Google. And then you've got the grinders from that area. And I think that they're pretty good with pretty consistent locals. Pew Pew not playing right now. That'll affect it. But SFAT being back and having just like that constant growing nature that they have, I will buy. Why not?
And Walt?
All right, listen, Edwin. If I can hold AMC at 58 a share to this day, then you can be damn fucking sure that I'm going to hold NorCal stock. And you know what? I'm buying at a discount, and I'm going jack to the tits because there's no shot that that's not going to ever go up again. I'm waiting for it to shoot to the moon. And, shout outs to Zach also, because he's like the representative, I think, when it comes to there. But yeah, absolutely buying.
All right. Thank you, guys. We have a pretty tight game right now. Everyone is actually tied apiece at 3-3. So this will make for a wonderful last question and last segment of the Edwin Budding Stock Exchange. It's called Market Watch, where basically it's a grab bag. Well, I guess it's not really a grab bag because it's only one question, but it's basically just a random long-term prediction that comes in the form of a question. So, Wheat, which returning LAN local series are you the most excited to watch or follow this summer?
I am going to say The Cave. For both nostalgic reasons. I'm not from that area, but I have very nostalgic reasons in terms of like watching Lod and Junebug play at 2 a.m. But the current reasons are that I think MDVA is a super strong region. I think Tyler Swift is an amazing player. I think putting him in the realm of like Juicebox and like those other really strong, maybe not top 100 level, but like just outside of it is really amazing. And dude, if I can see Ambi at one tournament, I'm not sure if it's that one. He's probably closer to Xanadu, but I will still pick the K for that reason.
And Walt?
I mean, biasly, I have to go with Aeon just because that was the first Long Island local I've ever been to. Excited for that. I just think that the ability to just go to anything that is within an hour of where you live is pretty nice in general. The only other one that immediately comes to mind is just seeing Xanadu come back, but I don't even know if I would long-term invest in that because I don't really want to see myself as an investor in 20 Sheiks in a bracket. So yeah, I'm just going to go with Aeon.
Xanadu has been back, by the way.
I know, yeah.
Radar, you get the last word.
I was just going to say Xanadu as well, just because we've been commentating it. It's something I've definitely become more interested in following in the same way that like anytime you get kind of personally involved, you start to get some vested interest. So I'm excited to see Xanadu kind of keep pushing and developing.
All right. That ends the show. And I just want to say, I loved all the different kind of answers that each of you gave. You were witty. You know what makes me laugh. You share inside jokes with me. Walt, I think there was like one thing that you didn't buy and you were so sad about it. I love your aggressive optimism toward all the topics brought up. Radar, I loved your pure sincerity, just oozing earnestness even despite you dropping out of the call.
I feel like we're gonna be fired. Like,
with that said, I can only pick one winner. That winner is Wheat. Wheat, congratulations on winning the Edwin Budding Stock Exchange.
Yeah, whatever, man.
And with that, you get your minute of fame. Talk about whatever you want.
I really think that I've won some that you have called as losses, and I gotta be honest. I think Walt's like Wall Street bets Chad bro energy has really permeated throughout this entire thing. So I'm really shocked that I was able to pull it through. Probably got about 30 seconds left, and I just want to shout out how Walt talked about that we should drink on this episode. So I made myself a Mai Tai, which I brought up in
Still waiting on this
episode.
Man. Should we do it?
I put a lot of rum in this, so I'm kind of feeling a little bit of it. But if you want to do a drink right now, I'm happy. What should we toast to? I'll let you make the toast.
It's your minute, man. You pick it.
To great content.
Hey, shout outs to also Melee if you're still in the chat, man. Focus it up. Let's go. Also, these are like definitely double shot glasses, so whatever.
Sounds about right though for them. I think that feels on brand to be double shot glasses.
Radar, you and I look like such weenies right now. We're just sitting there. My hands are down on my lap. You're stroking your beard.
You're the designated driver.
These two are drinking. We're just sitting here looking like complete Weenie Hut Junior members.
2 hours from now, Walt and I are gonna wrestle.
Hell
if this was an IRL podcast.
Yeah, that's what would happen, and Radar and I would just stand on the side and watch. I'd actually be sitting in this exact position on the same stupid broken chair, and Radar would be sitting there as well, stroking his beard.
I mean, I'd probably be asleep because like Walt would be like, "Oh my god, I cannot fall asleep anymore. Like I had a Red Bull at 9 p.m."
No, trust me, man. That's the RBV style, upper and a downer, man. That's all you need.
I would say I'm pretty fun to be with at majors, right? I think I'm fun. To be
This is a loaded question.
Like,
no, you're a good time. You are very like clinical in your let loose attitude. Now, for some reason, when you bring up how much fun you are, the first couple things that came to mind were you not being fun. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, you're super fun, but I can only remember when you fucking suck. Is like for some reason
when you shut down something.
I remember being at a really beautiful brunch with there's Chroma, there was Webbs, Boopy, Fendi, Ding, Destiny fan for some reason, and I remember like getting a message from you like, "We come to the venue immediately," and I get there and you're like, "Can you buy me breakfast? I can't leave my little book table."
I think I remember exactly.
And I did. I went to the Red Inn. I got you a Cliff Bar, and I also remember.
I was so happy.
I remember we were going back to. This was for Pound Underground. We were going back to Ambi's Hotel, and we were ready to let loose. We had.
I fell asleep. Yeah.
We had Malibu rum, root beer, and cranberry juice, which I was told was very good altogether.
Was it?
I don't know about that one. We'll have to figure that one out again. But I remember like
I don't even think I drank. I think I just fell asleep.
We all got ready, and you like immediately. We were all pouring drinks, and you immediately like got it under Ambi's covers. Like you immediately fell asleep.
Yeah, I didn't even drink. I just fell asleep. I was so tired.
No, you're fun.
Yeah, I think when I party, I'm fun, but I'm fun in like you beautifully put it, a strangely clinical way.
You have spent a good portion of your day figuring out how many mils of alcohol you're going to have, and you are going to have it. Like it is very fun to see you really let loose.
Who was it that Pound Underground that I was like, oh yeah, like I'll go grab a drink with you, and then I ended up just like ignoring them.
You were too you wanted me to grab a drink with you. You were too scared to get a drink by yourself.
Oh, that's right. I was like, I can't go on my own. I'll look weird.
Well, whatever. So, speaking of going on your own, we have to talk about Summit. So, Summit voting has started. And we have not seen this in a really long time. So obviously Summit 10, we had the Summit 10 online, which was, I believe all of the spots were qualifiers from SCL. But this is like the first IRL summit that we've seen since February 2020. First IRL, tournament with all these top players that we've seen in forever. But like this is the first time going through the blender that is summit voting. So let's get into it. I want to hear about. So we'll go around. We'll talk about who we want to see, and then who we expect to see. And I mean, if you want to like shout out anyone who's currently in voting, feel free to do so. I just want to let's talk about this. Like, we're back, baby. Right? This is the sign that we're back. So anyone want to talk about summit voting in particular? Anyone have anything particularly fun that they want to say?
Yes, I actually do. I wanted to bring up something. I'm very glad that you brought up summit. There's a specific thing that I wanted to share, or at least have you guys remember. I wonder if we'll ever see something like the Smash Bob SquarePants campaign ever again.
Dude, South Carolina represent, by the way. He wasn't even ranked when I went to school at USC. I don't even think he played Melee back then.
Yeah.
Did you call it USC?
Yeah, because it's okay. I don't want to get into this week. I swear to God, man. If you're going to tell me that that's not the name of the school.
Hey, you can call it anything you want.
Listen, okay, you want me to tell you some just absolute fact shit that University of South Carolina was a college before California was a fucking state? How about that, man? So why aren't we USC? Exactly. Thank you. I'm done. Go ahead, Edwin. Go ahead. I'm done.
I just wanted to bring up Smash Bob SquarePants. That's literally it. There's no like his whole rap with the notorious like Puff or whatever. I forget.
Dude, what a time. I guess let's get into that, right? Like the idea of like a meme pick has been so ingrained into Summit culture, from the literal meme man himself to Smash Bob SquarePants. Now, like we haven't seen in terms of actual vote-ins, we probably haven't seen like a meme candidate that was actually like purely meme and maybe not top 100 skill level or anything like that. But like, who do you think, if there was anyone this year, who do you think we got for a meme pick? Who is our meme man? Who is our Smash Bob?
Radar, any picks, or should I answer while you look?
No, go ahead. I'm looking. I'm just not sure who.
Yeah, I think the problem is that there's literally no room for it. Like there's 6 slots, right, for nomination, and it's like, based on your your overlay, who's making it in. It's like I feel like HBox, Axe, Wizrobe, None, and S2J are like 5 gimmies, just based on people that the folks want to see, and like maybe we'll get some spirit bombs to throw in there and like shake things up a little bit. But there's so many like hitters, even Ginger, Ben, Two Saint with how he performed or whatever. I know we talked about it a little bit before. Out of everyone, and I don't even mean this like in an insulting way, I feel like the most memey pick is Gen X, because he's just like, he's a content. I think he would be there as a content person, like he's a great player, obviously, but I think like based on like the video that he has too, like his whole marketing plan was I 4-stocked Hungrybox or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, like I love Gen X, but the lineup is so tight.
At the time of this podcast, literally same number of nominations as None.
Gen X does?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And I will say they both have significantly fewer than Nick Yingling.
Who
yes. Okay. That I want to shout. What sucks is you only get 1 nomination, because I want to shout out Aklo and Yingling, because I
don't
love
know
those
who
guys.
Yingling is. Is that embarrassing?
You should know. You should know
homie.
him. He's a top 50 player on the West Coast. How could you not know him, Radar?
Dude, Chile's best go to Arizona, and he beats them.
I'm not even joking. Yingling's solid. He's doing work.
I gotta say that was a joke before Chape gets in my mentions.
Either way,
I have to say in regards to Yingling. So recently, Game 7 of Sixers Hawks happened. So I have to say for Yingling, Suns in 4. Nice. Yeah, dude, Yingling is I don't know, dude. We're talking about meme picks. Yingling would be a huge meme pick. Well, I think you're completely right. We are looking at a summit that is completely different than others. Summits before have been like they used to be 10 decided secretly by me, and then they became 8 decided secretly by me, and now it's definitely the number is getting smaller, and we are seeing like the same number of vote-in slots having to go to players who we consider top 10 in the world, who maybe we consider top 5 in the world. So I think you're right. The idea of like a meme pick getting in is definitely a lot harder than ever was. Edwin, I see you raising your hand.
What if Hungrybox is the meme pick?
He is a meme pick, but he's a gimme meme pick though. Is the problem? It's not like a meme pick where everyone doesn't expect you to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
Also, I just want to add, my boy Ventus Official did remind me that I am contractually obligated to support Aklo for Summit because for him to team with me at Aeon last week, I had to support him as a Summit nominee. So I'll just put that out on the table.
One thing that we haven't kind of mentioned that I feel like is worth mentioning, I guess, is like when people used to pitch Summit as an event that you would go to, and I still think this is largely true, it was like access to top player practice that you could not get anywhere else. And like you were going for like a 3-day, 4-day thing. And once you come out of this hyperbolic time chamber of practice experience, you will become a better player. And obviously you guys know where I'm going with this, with like rollback melee being so much with the return of LAN, we see less online tournaments maybe. I still think like you aren't really struggling to find practice from a specific group. So I do wonder if like the people who are kind of smaller, less notable people.
Ooh.
Hello? Was I muted? Hello?
Dude, it is going to be tough establishing the first lifetime ban for waiting for game and it being Radar.
Hello? Can you guys not hear me this whole time?
No, we can hear you.
You kind of went Dalek for a little bit.
Okay, okay, 1 sec. Let me just try to fix this.
Maybe the noise he was making was
just
like...
tell me that if you can just interrupt me. Like I think this.
Well, you were going in and out was the problem. So
yeah, like we could kind of hear what you were saying, so we didn't.
Okay. Give me one second.
Okay, so I think what Radar was saying is that the access to top players to play all these friendlies and stuff was such a lauded position, something that you had top 50 players who were like really trying to get it, so they could become top 20 players. And I think he's right. Like with the advent of Slippy, we have seen this ability. If you want to play, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, if they're open to it, that's a possibility. Like you don't have anything standing in the way of you being able to play Mango and HBox, or I guess HBox doesn't play friendlies. Mango and Zane day after day.
What is wrong with you?
All right.
So I definitely think that's a great point. Sorry, Radar, I spoke for you in your time of robotness.
But he spoke fondly. He thinks that you bring up a very good point.
Just that, what I was trying to say, but apparently it was incredibly distorted. And Walt knows this is probably due to my audio interface, and hopefully I've changed some stuff. Hopefully it fixes. Point is, I think that was the case that a lot of people made. Like Toussaint, for example, is in this. I remember when Toussaint was kind of pitching himself as a top 100 player with the first Summit, it was like, man, if I could just get this top level practice. And now I just don't feel like that's a problem for people. And so I think if I was someone who was trying to get into Summit, my approach to it would not be like, man, I need to develop as a player. It would be like, yo, I'm going to win this thing, or I'm going to have sick games or something. Like, I don't think it's like, and that is really relevant for people like Ben is probably the one that comes to mind the most, of like someone who I think we were talking about, like buy Ben stock. Definitely I would be really buying a lot because I think he's an amazing player and will improve a lot from an event like Summit. But also, like, I think he can improve without Summit just by virtue of playing really, really good players online. So, Ambi bringing up a good point of I'll vote for whoever wears a maid costume.
I feel like there's one candidate.
I think what I'm excited for when it comes to all that also is just the level of unique content that comes out of people campaigning. Like we already saw like HBox post a Twitter video of him just like popping off in the Grand Canyon or something crazy, you know? Like, I think the content that comes out of Summit is truly unmatched, and people like really tap into their cerebral creativity to figure it. Like, you know, Radar mentioned Toussaint. He did the campaign where he like back aired a tree for like for like a day. You know, like he just kicked a tree over.
It was like 100 times or something, or like for a couple hours, whatever it was. No, I think you're spot on. And like, dude, is that what gets us back? Is that the first sign of the real comeback? It's not the tournament itself, but it's the fact that people are like willing to sell their soul to make content that will
I honestly think that's what it always is, Wheat. It's like, you know, like the build up to Summit. Obviously summits are always like hitters as tournaments, and they're always really exciting, and you get really cool storylines and gameplay and stuff. But a lot of people don't go like to view Summit as the competitive event. They, you know, it's just an entirely different vibe and atmosphere from any other event that you get, and that's what makes it really special.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, also it's like they're so consistent, and they're in years where like that might be one of the 4 or 5 events that you see literally all the top players going to. So I think you're right. I definitely think like Dota events might have been that in scope, but kind of Smash's infrastructure differences between Dota, but you know, compared to Dota, probably shifted that a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I hope that this sees the return of the meme picks. I hope that this sees the return of the not eating onions, but the eating onion level, you know, chills of trying to get in. Because, dude, like we need that energy. As much as it feels weird to say that we need someone eating a raw onion, like that means that Melee is back in some way. That's like the Puxatawny Phil scene.
That's quite a pathway you got to that ending.
Is that all it takes to get
Melee is beautiful, and Melee is the game itself, but Melee is also eating a raw onion, and all facets of Melee are beautiful.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing, just in case anyone clips what we're saying and puts it out of context to make us sound like we're speaking really disparagingly. When we say meme pick, that's not to like question the intent or like to say that like someone doesn't deserve to like be in Summit. You know, we're saying that relative to just if Summit were only the best players in the world, it would be a different event. Instead, Summit features the best players in the world, but it also features people that we want to see get opportunities to play with, practice with them, and also just appear on camera. So when we say meme pick, that's not saying that like, oh, like if you get the only reason you got into Summit is for something that is not a legitimate reason. So I just want to make sure that anyone who listens to this understands that that's when we're saying meme pick, we're using it offhandedly, like that's and like for casually. Sure. It's not in a disparaging way.
Can I ask a question to the group, and just because I'm curious, like
no.
So it feels like what we sort of touched on a bit is this idea. What?
Yeah, you're not allowed. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just want to like
I'll go.
direct the
I'll
conversation. You know, I feel like because we both do podcasts, sometimes I'm doing things and I'm like, this is very like I'm the host of this. It's like, no, you're not the host.
Just ask your question, Radar.
No, like
I'm running out of time.
When I was on your podcast, I definitely did the I'm the captain now host. I transitioned a couple of your segments last time I was on the Mixup.
Exactly.
So it's only fair that you come on and you try to transition.
And I can't judge you too much because I do this in just everyday conversation. So it's
so point is okay. So we talk about like, oh man, it's more competitive than ever. There's so many people. Like, how is it that we have like Ginger, Wizrobe, HBox, None, etc. All of them aren't even in Summit just by virtue of like being the players that they are. And I think that reflects a larger kind of deepening of the Melee roster where we just have better and better players that are kind of able to actually kind of hang with the top. And so that makes me wonder, is the Summit format as is maybe starting to feel like it needs to be mixed up a bit by increasing the size, I guess? Or is that not a good thing? Basically, the logic being the reason you would increase the size is as it was before, it felt like really the people who you were voting in that were like more fringe picks, like a Toussaint or something that was like a top 100 player, but you weren't as familiar with, you weren't really thinking they were going to win. You just wanted to see them how they do against like a couple players, or see them grow, etc. Now it feels like none could win the whole thing. Like if he doesn't go, it feels crappy. He just won GOML. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so if none doesn't get voted in, it feels like we're actually like losing something. So that's my question.
I think that's the sacrifice you always make, though, at a summit.
I think I see what you're saying. I don't agree with the extreme in what you're putting it with, like as far as players being like solidified as must-haves at the event. But I understand what you're saying. I just don't think it would warrant like a reformatting. But I'm interested.
It wouldn't need to be like a total deviation. It could be like we add 8 slots or something. Like it seems like they're going down and like
8 slots.
Or 6 slots or something.
Isn't that what Summit 9 did? They had a 16-man invitation.
Wait, you're the bracket master out of all of us. I want to hear your thoughts.
I don't think I'm the bracket master. I appreciate it.
Okay, but now you're the bracket master.
I mean, okay, I'm now the bracket master. Walt's right. Like they have run 18-person summits, and I don't think that has had a huge difference. It's like the Royal Flush thing of like running a 7-minute timer. It's like, dude, you make this whole big thing and you think it's gonna be huge. Nothing really comes out of it. I mean, I get what Radar's saying, that like, there are possibilities that, like, we have seen, what was 6 players who made it through SCL. I guess I should know this number at the top of my head. Players who made it from invitations like Leffen and Amsa, and players like Pipsqueak who made it from qualifiers. And it's possible that because of that, you could see players like None or S2J who, I guess S2J's. Sorry, I'm having a hard time here. But you could see players that like have a possibility to win. None, HBox, who are in a voting phase. I don't feel particularly scared for them. And I think that having slots to be qualified through stuff like the big one, the Rollback Rumble event, I think that kind of makes it so that you aren't losing slots to pure voting. Like if you have an unpopular player who has a chance of like really being in the top, which I don't think we have, you kind of mitigate that by having qualifiers. Yeah, I mean, like Summit went from being 10 vote-ins or 10 decidings and 6 vote-ins to like 8 decidings and 2 qualifiers and then 6 vote-ins.
Are you saying that like S2J and Wizrobe are like guaranteed to get in? Because I would say both of those guys like could theoretically win the whole event, and they are not guaranteed based on the current nominations. Like Wizrobe is in 5th, and S2J has only 317 nominations.
It's quite early, isn't it? Like,
I'm just saying, like, could we see like those guys losing to an Aklo or something in the vote? And I feel like I could see them, like, I don't know, it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, possibly, maybe. But like you also have events where so this is a weird one, right? Because you are trying to like grab from all these different regions who literally cannot play each other unless it's on like 3-frame 120 ping.
Also, this is only for nominations, right?
No, I'm responding to the chat. Like, I know it's just the nominations, but I think like advancing it towards voting, I think if people are choosing between some of these players, like they might choose, I don't know, like they might choose, I'm trying to think of a good example of like, would they pick a Ginger over an S2J? Like probably not, but like there are people that, are maybe comparable fan bases or still fairly popular or have a lot of support from other content creators, like Aklo. Like I think Aklo is a very like legitimate person to nominate for it, and I feel like could do very, very well. But if Aklo beats out, someone who also doesn't manage to qualify, like I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, Aklo got more votes than S2J. This world is Bizarro land. Like I'd think, okay, I guess that happened. And then that kind of sucks for S2J, who might have been 3rd in the world at one point. Not that it sucks. Like it doesn't really matter. It's more just like, is that bad for the viewers as well? Because like this guy who could have won it doesn't even get to go.
Well, so as it stands right now, we have 6 people who made it from a bracket through like a bracket that was decided by an additional 3 weeks of matches. We have Leffen and Amsa who got direct invites for, presumably being that level of, having that level of talent, which I don't think is wrong. And then someone Pipsqueak qualifying through the same circuit. So like, and then we have the additional Rollback Rumble one. And like, this has been, if you want to talk summits, this has been the summit with the IRL summit with the most qualifiers determined by tournaments. So it's hard for me to see this particular way that they're doing it. and feel bad for people who don't make it. I'm not sure if, look, Aklo's not very popular. He's a very good player, but his fan base is not exactly bigger than S2J's or anything like that. So I wouldn't really worry about that.
Maybe if New York like rallies behind him or like
Yeah.
never.
It's also money, right? Like
maybe
it's not just popularity. It's who wants to actually pay for you. And I think like there are big regions. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, I'm not sure if I feel like a player who didn't make it into Smash Summit 11 with all of these opportunities is really missing out. Now, that being said, like there is a possibility. We mentioned it. You know, Nunn and Wizzy aren't currently in there, and S2J as well. I think all three players,
Falcons, yeah,
are like definitely able to be a deep bracket threat, like and in some cases possibly win the tournament. So I think you're right on that. But I guess my question to you would be, that being said, what's the change? What change does Summit make to mitigate this issue?
I don't even think it's an issue.
Adding a couple extra slots or like moving it to have more kind of qualifiers. Like you already said, this is the one that has the most, but like maybe we need to even go further than that. I don't want to push it as if like this is something like I'm floating this idea rather than being like I've given this a ton of thought and this is my firm stance. I'm just wondering, like, it would really suck to me if there were multiple people that I thought like really could have won the whole thing that don't even go. But maybe that won't happen, and I'm overestimating.
I just feel like that's like the nature of the beast, though. Like when it comes,
it wasn't before though.
Something.
Like, did you really feel like in the early summits, like, oh man, the people who could actually win it don't get to go? Like,
I'm gonna be the stick in the mud.
I mean, there was
I
like,
only feel that way about like Wizard,
dude,
and like maybe SJ on the outside.
Radar, I'm sorry, I have to answer this question. Summit 1 had like Alex 19 and Kage. Okay. I definitely think that there were people who like were able to. I mean, obviously, like,
could they win?
Like, yeah, I mean, if you want to be honest, I don't think none could win a LAN major, but sure. Okay. Like, I think you're right. Like, there are the level of playing has changed since we last seen it. I also don't want to necessarily say that the level of play that we've seen on like Slippy is 1-to-1 with what we're going to see IRL. I mean, who knows, dude? Maybe none will win this whole thing, and I'll have to.
Yeah, your take becomes sizzling.
I would trust Wheat when it comes to Summit predictions, though. After all, this is the man who predicted that Axe would win Summit.
True.
Literally. Right before, this was not like a long-term melee stats.
Hey, I want to throw my hat in the ring and say, Edwin, you were on the call with me when I said SFAT's going to get to winners finals.
You were. You called it.
So I don't know. I think none can do it as an answer to that. But I just feel like it's like the nature of the beast, though. Like, yeah, maybe it hasn't happened historically, Radar, that like someone doesn't get voted in. But I feel like the part of the appeal to Summit is the fact that the event extends like beyond those 4 days of tournament. You know, it's like the event of Summit is nominations. It is like the conversation around it. And even like in the situation that you're talking about, if Hungry Box, if a Wizrobe, if an S2J don't get voted in, that creates conversation of like, oh, how did they not get voted in? This is insane. And then, you know, maybe it's not even a bad thing if it's like you got to wonder how they could have done, and then you just wait to see them at the next tournament.
Well, that's why I think like having qualifiers is important, and I think realistically speaking, given that, you know, Wizrobe is entering Rollback Rumble, right? Like the big one.
I would assume
I'm not
so.
Sure,
maybe he's not registered now, but I would assume he goes.
I think it's that Smasher thing where no one has entered. Like, I remember like 2 weeks ago they had like 50 entrants or something like that. But I believe that with that on the line, that'll just like jump up super high.
Yeah.
Also, like, I don't want to say that Wizrobe not making it because he doesn't enter a direct qualifier means that Summit needs to be changed. But whatever. I mean, like,
no, of course not.
Let's do it ourselves. We have 4 people here and 6 slots to fill. 7 slots if you count the Rollback Rumble. Let's count who's getting in. Everyone gets 2 except for Edwin.
Hell yeah.
Edwin, fine. Down. We get 2 for vote-ins and you get 1 for Rollback Rumble. How about that? We're gonna predict the final 7 to make it in. Let's cap off this segment by doing that. Walt, you're the guest here.
Oh,
I mean,
God,
you're one of the guests.
I wasn't ready. Hang on. I'm looking at the bracket.
No, you're no bracket.
I don't know who's entering Rollback Rumble, so I can't even.
No, that's not you. That's
who's...
Edwin. You get to pick people who are getting voted in. You get to pick.
Oh, voted in? Okay.
Yeah.
I get 2 picks.
We'll do snake style.
God. Okay. So I mean, should I give you like just the gimme pick, or should I give you who I want to get?
Give me any pick you want.
I mean, the gimme pick is HBox.
Okay,
I mean,
we got HBox.
Yeah. So
Radar. Who else is making it in? This can be your mind or it can be your heart.
So that's the thing. Like, is it an interesting thing to say? Like, oh, I think that, I don't know, Axe will get voted in. Like that feels sort of boring. It's more like, should we? What if we went and like said the ones we think are like easy, and then because if I just list one, like, do you know?
You get 2. Edwin's the one that gets 1.
Okay, so I think Axe. I agree with Walt as well with HBox, but I'm not going to use that one. Because is that interesting to be like, hey guys, the guy who
you get 2 picks, make one interesting, make one not. I don't know.
Okay, so one interesting one. I'm gonna predict for the more niche ones. I'm thinking about it. I'm sort of torn. I honestly do think Aklo has a decent chance just because of how good he is as a player. Like, genuinely speaking, I think he has a good chance. Even though you guys are like, he's not that popular, I think I'm going to put him as the like fringe, not huge audience pick, not someone that's like a nun or a Wizzy or a thing. That's my pick.
Okay, cool. So it's snake style. I'll do 2, and then you'll do 1, and then Walt will have to figure out number 6. I will. We could pick really easy ones, and then Edwin has to do like a really hard guess for who's going to qualify.
Yeah, no, I would. I actually, so earlier in the year, actually in May, I made a list of like the people that I thought were most likely to get into Summit. So I literally have it in front of me right now.
I will say S2J makes it in. I feel like that's always the case. And then it's snake style, so I'll do another one. Then I'll go to Radar. I'll say Magi, former Melee Stats Deep Dives guest. So I'll have to shout out that. All right, so we have HBox, we have Axe, we have Magi and S2J. Radar. What's your interesting pick? Or did you say Aklo? You said Aklo, didn't you?
I said Aklo.
Yeah, he said Aklo.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
All right, we got HBox, Aklo, S2J, and Magi.
And Axe.
Are you saying Axe for your second pick, Radar?
He gave Axe.
Yeah, Axe was
2
my
picks.
first
He did
pick.
it out of order. Okay. Well,
do you want me to give my interesting pick or my
do whatever
more
pick you want,
realistic
man.
pick?
You can do whatever.
Okay, I'm gonna hedge and say that my realistic pick is that Wizrobe gets in.
I already picked
Oh, you did? Oh,
no, I picked S2J. I'm sorry.
You picked S2J.
Dude, what the hell?
I think a Falcon has to get in, so that's a fair bet. And then my borderline that I would like to see get in is LSD, because he's my boy. Shout outs to South Carolina again. USC, bitch, the real one. It's like.
So I guess we forgot to, or I guess not forget, but I just briefly mentioned that LSD won Gailey Summit 2 last weekend. Pretty solid performance.
Oh, LSD is amazing, dude. Like, and I feel like people just don't realize how like insanely good he is. When I went to school in South Carolina, I went to an event like a couple towns over, and this was when his tag was Android 13 because he was 13 years old, and he was mopping me, like absolutely waxing me left and right. And I was like, how are you this good? Like, I don't understand you as a player. But he's amazing. And like people should be buying the dip on that one if we're going to talk about the stock exchange for that.
Yeah, I mean the only thing with LSD is that LSD could just like quit Melee in the next 2 weeks and sell all their controllers.
Very, very possible. All right, Edwin, finish us off. Who's rounding out our summit?
I'm actually going to go out of left field here. Oh, whoa. I think that the safe pick is none, but because I'm on the show and I want to make a fun prediction, I'm going to go with Kalamazoo. I think people. I think Kalamazoo. This guy started off the year with an insane stretch of play. I think he's hella solid. He unfortunately kind of flamed out of SCL He was the victim of a massive like breakout for Polish. I think Kalamazoo is just got so goddamn solid. I think like none is pretty reliable too. But like you look at Kalamazoo's competition around him, like for who he's got to get in, and I actually like strangely like his chance. Like none will be a little tough. I think Gatsu obviously like you can never really count him out, but Gatsu's also like sort of taken a slight decline in his play, like relative to the winning weeklies literally all the time standard that we were used to seeing in the spring. I think like in a head-to-head against Kadoran, Ginger, like Sunsei, I think Kalamazoo's got a pretty good chances against all of them. I think, strangely enough, despite this not always being the case in their lifelong history, I think Lucky is weirdly kind of tough for Kalamazoo lately. But with Lucky, there's always just the chance that he could just like I don't know, he loses to like Quaff or something, or like Koopa Troopa or something like early because he runs off stage after securing a vertical KO last stock or something. So I'm gonna go with Kalamazoo. I think people are forgetting about him. He's really good.
Sick. So that is our predicted summit, our dream summit, in which Walt gave 3 answers instead of 2. But
no, I hedged. Okay, I said I think none's gonna get in. It's like
all right. Sick, dude. Let's see. We have been, every time we've done something like this, we've been incredibly wrong. So we'll see if we can break the streak this time.
What about, do we want to do like who deserves to get in, or is that too hot takey, or like who doesn't deserve, or are we doing do?
I mean,
that seems mean.
Not like who doesn't deserve it. More like who do we think? Like you're right. That's too mean. But like, what about like?
I'm not a mean person.
I'm not a mean person either. I'm just looking for some takes. You know. So
you're a take looker.
What if we did who our predictions on who's gonna win based on what we know?
On who's gonna win Summit?
Yeah.
I feel like there's. Well,
so that's so far away.
Well, one's far away, but there's also like 4 options, right?
I'll do that thing that I always used to do back when we had other podcasts. So I'll say Leffen.
I think Leffen, his matchup spread is so good. All he has to do is win this Fox Ditto before winners finals.
I'll say Leffen.
Dude, you say this all the time.
Look, we haven't done this. That used to be the Deep Dives classic, is that Leffen would have a bad loss, and I'd say, I don't hold this against him. I think he's going to win. So I haven't gotten to say that in so long. Let me for once say that.
I think he has a good chance, too.
I guess it's been 2 years.
I really want to hold out hope for AMSA, like, just for the fact that no one's played a Yoshi of his caliber in a year. Like, I feel like that's insane. I know, like, he obviously has bracket demons, and like if any of the Falcons get nominated, and that's going to be really challenging for him, probably just from like a pure data sense. But by God, would that be, what a story that would be for him to just not play for like a year against anyone, and then just like come back in and take it, and it's his first major win.
You know, it's funny you mentioned the Falcon stuff with AMSA, because I was actually just thinking, as far as like Leffen versus Zane, Mango, Plup, I actually feel like, for even though I haven't seen him against those players in like a year and a half, I actually feel like fairly confident in his chances to keep up with them. What I'm curious about is if the Falcon players who have leveled up, if their lifetime, like, or if their current trend toward Leffen is going to be very different than what it used to look like. I'm quite interested to see how he prepares for the new and improved SJ and None. Wizzy wasn't quite a thorn in his side, but was just kind of like an annoying opponent that would beat Leffen if Leffen was playing at like a 5 out of 10 or less. So I kind of want to see how I think against like the tier 1.5 to 2 people, it will be interesting to see Leffen. And that's not to mention like how he would do in the Fox Ditto against IBDW.
Yeah. I want to mention a great point that comes from chat. So Curly mentions there's a certain trend of HBox doing, a little bit poorly. maybe not winning an event, maybe not winning a few events, and then having his number 1 seed change into a number 2 seed, and then immediately winning again. Generally, if you seed HBox anything under the first seed, he will win that event. The data has proven that.
Yeah,
and
but
I gotta
like
say,
Summit 11, he's going to get seeded like 9th. Like,
I don't think he's going to be first seed. So
yeah,
the trend might just continue.
So, in terms of people we think who can win it, I feel like it's like Leffen, Zane, Mango, HBox. Honestly, like he could still win it. I feel like SUJ, Wizrobe, and None are all one Falcon, and that any single one of them like maybe could, and that feels like it. Am I missing someone?
Gatsu?
No.
Of the Falcons?
Sorry.
Or I thought you were talking about
people
the
that could
Falcons.
win.
I was
Is there
like,
someone that like I could see could win the whole thing?
Did you say Plup?
Oh yes, Plup. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I think Plup has a huge chance of winning the whole thing.
Yes.
Dude, we didn't even talk about Plup Showdown. That guy, I was stunned by how.
I'd love to talk about that because I'm partnered with them.
Dude, he thrashed
Then we won't
Wizrobe.
talk about it.
He thrashed Wizrobe so bad.
Yeah, but I think all that was pretty expected though. Like even though we haven't
I wasn't
Plup,
expecting 5-1.
Yeah.
He made.
I was
look
expecting like pretty lopsided matchups against the Falcons just for
Dude,
the fact
he made
that
Wizrobe look so helpless. Oh my god.
dude, his lifetime record was like absurd. Like he's never lost a set to Gatsu, and he's only lost like 1-2 sets to Wizrobe, I think. And it was his first ever one and his last one.
Gatsu might have like a win on his Fox at some polarity event, like one.
Not that's been documented by PG Stats at least. So that's what I was pulling from for.
Well, if
the thing with PG Stats is that it's a great website, but also there were a lot of brackets that were run on Polarity. Actually had their own.
Yeah, the Polarity's always been kind of on.
It wasn't even Challenge; they had their own bracket site. So
dude,
that
it was so annoying.
It did actually trip me up for a second. Like I made a mistake in the pre-show piece that I was making for that event because Mewtwo King's most recent win against Plup, according to PG Stats, was listed as Smash Gods and Gatekeepers, when it was technically like Mewtwo King's team that beat Plup's team because of the weird format of that event. So it was like kind of a low-key error because Mewtwo King didn't beat Plup at Gods and Gatekeepers. Like his team beat Plup's team. So...
Okay.
But
I'm actually
PG Stats is great though. So
I'm actually very sorry for derailing us to talk about Plup Showdown, but I just figured I'd mention that it's getting a little late, so I think now's about a good time to head to the questions for Walt and Radar segment.
Yeah. So if you have any questions that you want to throw into the Twitch chat, you can do so, and generally we just ignore those. So, but hey, maybe today will be the difference. But we always ask our patrons what questions you might like to hear. So I think this would be directed at both of you guys. So Dark Genix himself, the content master, he asked, what content does Melee need right now that it doesn't already have? Like, what's the void? What's the content void for Melee?
God,
big question.
Radar, you go.
You have 10 seconds.
What? I wanted to think about it a little bit before I give a good answer.
I have a snap react to this because I talked about this with Aiden on our show. And this like triggers the shit out of me because like I think what Melee needs and what Melee wants, like people think like this is what Melee needs when in reality it's not. But the thing that really bothers me is like for me, I dabbled in like doing recap videos just to get like weekly content out for SCL as an example. And I talked about this with Aiden, but the general feedback for that series was like, oh yeah, dude, this is the content that Melee needs. Like this is absolutely what the scene needs in order to thrive and just continue to be as great as we are. And my reaction to that was, if this is actually the content that Melee needs, then why the fuck doesn't it get views? Like let's just leave it at that, because like if it's the content that Melee needs, then it's the content that has to perform. Like you need to, it's the circle of life, man. Like it's
doubles. It's doubles.
Yeah, that's exactly what Aiden said. It's like,
say that? This is doubles. Yeah. Like everyone says doubles, you have to have doubles, and then no one watches doubles, and then Summit doesn't run doubles, and guess what? They do fine. No, I think you're right. There's such a huge like thing throughout the content is seeing something and then being like, we really need this, and then not tuning in.
Yeah, it needs to perform for it to be like, like for worthwhile for the creator too. Like, I'm sure all of us in this call have had many, a content piece or a video that we've worked on where we're like, yeah, this is like a net good for like what the scene does, but then it gets like 1,000 views and you're like, what the fuck? I just sunk so much time into this and like no one cares. It's just, if it's what we need, like I think the creator needs to see some type of metric to be motivated to continue with it too. I think that's like a big factor.
I think I have an answer now, by the way. So my answer, okay, there's a bunch of like other ideas I have, but the thing I would like to see most, and something that I do want to try to do myself with in-person content, but also think right now at my current skill, I wouldn't be able to do the level of quality I'm looking for, which is like genuinely deep, but not long, interesting interviews with players to like really get to the human side of them. I think like we have a lot of personalities in the Melee scene, and like almost like more than you'd even expect. There's so many kind of fun, interesting people, but I think like there's a lot of sort of stuff underneath that persona that like I would say no content really hits right now, and there's a lot of content in the world of like, say they interview an actor or like someone who is a really, really good like journalist, someone who actually kind of says like, hey, like this is a really crappy example, but like interview where someone like, might get kind of emotional, like something like that, something where we'd actually be like, oh, yo, they're actually really peeling back the layers, connecting with this person. I don't think we've seen that truly. And I think if we could see that of like, learning something about a player that we didn't know already, I think that would be how, that would really elevate our connection to the scene and to the people who kind of we'd love to watch play. And no, I do not want to make Melee hot ones. That's not what I'm saying. That is not deep enough. I'm talking about like
first off, it
inside
exists.
the actor's studio kind of has this a bit, where it's like
Radar. What if I do this for you?
For me? What do you mean?
As in, like, I do everything we're saying, but you are the subject of this video.
And you just talk. You're like, Michael, let me speak to Radar.
Well, wouldn't it be the other way around?
Oh my god!
I don't know. Isn't that the inside the actor studio? They're like talking to like Tom Cruise. It's like, let me speak to Ethan Hunt.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Again, I think if this was like not a thing with 4 people, I would be happy to do an interview. Like I think there's something to be said for like someone who can actually get like a real response out of someone that isn't like, trying to milk them for tears or whatever, but it's just sort of trying to get them to sort of like really connect and find that sort of, interpersonal connection.
You know who can do that? And I'm going to give a huge shout out to my boy Cypher, bottom of the Smash Mountain. He's been the one that's been doing that, I think, right now, in terms of like online. Absolutely.
I think, so I spoke to him. I think we all did, right? Didn't everyone here have a episode with him? I know I did. I know Walt did. I know Radar did. Yeah, I mean, you're right, dude. If you shout outs to Cypher for being able to create like a we have a lot of podcasts and a relatively unique one, which is like, it's not about what the community is going through so much as like talking to how an individual community member goes through the community. And I think that's super sick.
Yeah, I think if I gave a real answer of what Melee content needs, though, to like kind of touch on the specific question that Gen X gave, I personally think that a lot of development can and should be made from the live production side of things, because eventually the format of kind of just tournament and running through a bunch of games and stuff, I feel may get stale to just like, okay, we're just gonna play games, there's no like other content piece that comes up. I've always been like a very strong advocate for like pre-show events. I know like you guys have been doing like top 8 kind of analysis, like look at the brackets, look at the matchups, which is great. I think that's an excellent thing to do, especially when we have downtime built in. Things like Analyst Desk, JDMH has been kind of pulling for that really hard recently, but I think there's a lot of untapped potential with live production, which obviously gets really challenging when you think about budget and who can fill those roles, because personnel is also really hard to come by for those things. But there's so much opportunity and untapped potential and ceiling for live production to really just hit the next level in Melee, especially with like the ability to just pull stats from Slippy, have like really high quality replay systems built in, all these things. There's like a lot of there's really just kind of like a well of opportunities, in my opinion. So I think that's kind of where it starts.
So that falls into a question that we got from Twitch chat, which was ideas for in-person content. So I think that definitely you hit on that there. Would there be any additions to that? Like, what other ideas for in-person content would you guys think that either needs to be made by anyone, or something that you could do? Yeah, Radar. Let me hear it.
So again, like,
does it involve hot wings?
To try to improve, it's food related. To try to improve interviews and stuff was something that I wanted to do. I used to work for my university's newspaper, like for like 3 years or so. Like I was very, very involved in it. There was a period of time where I like thought about journalistic work, and there are a lot of reasons, mostly because there's just no jobs and shit for it. It is something that like interviewing and getting better at that side of things would be something I'd like to kind of flex the muscle for. And so one thing I'm really looking forward to doing or trying out, I recently bought a new camera, which I'm using now. I kind of like trying to get back into sort of the video side of things. And I really would love if someone either went to BC or I went somewhere else to do like a kind of interview / we go out to eat like series that's more casual, talking.
That was a thing. Hungry Bucks did it.
I know. And like, I think I could do it better, basically. Like,
whoa, you think better content than H-God?
Not in terms of it being bad. That's the wrong way. The way I want it to do.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like I've come off as an asshole this show, but what I'm trying to say is like, hey, can we talk about who's bad, who doesn't deserve their summit spot?
No, it's like I follow what you're saying. Radar, just out of curiosity, would something that you're looking for be on the lines of what Zane, aka Ipengu, used to do for a little bit, but with maybe just like a bit more intimacy in the format?
Yeah.
Like basically what I'm imagining is like if you've ever had like pick someone up from the airport, or like someone that and you just sort of like you connect a little bit, and it's sort of like you're talking about you're again trying to show the sort of human side of players. Because I think going back to the first question of like what content do people need, Walt is absolutely right that sometimes people will say like, oh man, we need more X or Y, and I really think that like at the end of the day, people like Melee because it's a really fun game to watch, and it has like a lot of cool personalities. And while I do a lot of tutorial content and that would make everyone better at the game, it wouldn't like, and that is still useful. I think what actually kind of gets people to watch is like the storylines and the narratives, and like just really feeling like, wow, like the documentary is what got so many people in, and it did such a good job of making us feel like, oh my God, there's like this like culture and history and all that stuff. And so if I could go out to dinner with someone or buy them dinner, and we're kind of hanging out and just have something, not everything needs to be like super, super deep, which is something I'd also like to see, but just sort of like, hey, what is Aklo like? Some guy who taunts all the time and everything. That's what people see. But like, if you went out for beers with him and you both had sushi, like, what's he like? What's
Radar?
It like to hang out with him?
I just want to say, I love this energy. I love your, steadfast, the emphasis that you have and the camaraderie that you want and the deep personal intimacy that comes across in this. I think you are definitely a Smash romantic. And with that, that said, I want to bring up an adjacent and parallel idea that could work in conjunction with this. I want there to be some kind of equivalent of what you're describing, but with like Smash's Nathan Fielder. So like having someone it's filmed beautifully, right? You go to the airport, you got shots everywhere. You show the person going to a car, like talking to the interviewer, but the interviewer is just like, I don't know who Smash Nathan Fielder would be. Like the interviewer is just someone like who just ask them questions about like their local results or whatever, or just like from obscure tournaments.
There's a lot of room for comedy content. Honestly, there's a lot of room for that.
I have so many
Could you do a
hidden
Nathan
pieces.
Fielder? Could you be our
No.
Nathan Fielder at Melee
No.
Stats?
Well, I mean, we already know that I walked up to Wasabi and I said, "Hey, remember when you got JV5 and then won the set?" And he said, "No, I lost that set." And I think Wasabi and I have been very close ever since. I think that there is some humor to be had from that. I think that like going to people and knowing the results is could be very funny. It's possible that it's funny. Radar, I have an idea I want to sell you. You fly to a major airport in like when there's supposed to be a major. You don't have to go to the major. You just wait at the airport and then you see like Billy Bo people or whatever, and you're like, "Hey, are you going to you going to the big house? Do you want to get an Uber there?" And then you have like an hour-long Uber, and then that's the thing. And then you take an Uber back and then do it all over again.
I think there's just room for like, if you start from the top down and like get people that people already care about and connect with them and have that kind of interesting thing, and then people start to like it, then they'll be more primed to go, "Oh, who's this person I maybe not as familiar with, but I like want to learn more about." But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think so many of the problems with Melee content come down to like making any of this stuff is insanely hard. Like if I talked about doing a review or like doing a video where we go to a restaurant and it's on par with like Hungrybox's stuff where they have like literally people who are paid to make videos and film things, of course mine's going to look worse. And so that's the problem, is that like money at the end of the day is a limiter, but I think there is room for that. And I'm really hoping that we see it, and hoping that I can kind of hopefully contribute to that, I guess.
Radar, I'm going to pull some strings. Summit is going to have a full-length feature parody of My Dinner with Andre, and it's My Dinner with Aklo. It's going to be you and Aklo, 90 minutes of you just chatting and talking about life. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, I think it could be interesting. That's the thing. I don't even really think it needs to be that long, because I think people see there's value in the 60-minute interview, the 90-minute interview. But I also think like, hey, Zane and I went to get like Korean corn dogs at this new Vancouver restaurant. They were super good and cool. And I talked to him about like why he thinks this character is good and his favorite band. And that was it, and then we filmed it. It was like a 10-minute video, and people go, "Man, I love Zane. He's such a cool guy." And I go, "I love Zane too." And it gets a bunch of views, and we all connect with one of our best players. Like that would be a decent, that's the dream.
So this sounds a lot like the Waiting for Game pre-show, except for this week, which was, pretty boring. But the Waiting for Game pre-show is always really fun, because it's always like me and Edwin and some person who like maybe we don't have the greatest connection to, and it's like me and this person just like chit-chatting, just like talking about like whatever, like making conversation, and then Edwin just like really like not knowing what to do.
Yeah, I'm not good at that kind of stuff. I hate small talk so much. That's why I'm saying drop me in. Have me do what Radar is suggesting, but in my own little Edwin-y way.
Yeah, you just pivot it into a skit where you're just at dinner, but it's like a very strained marriage at dinner, and you're just like, "All right, so how's the chicken?" You're like, "Well, it's a little dry. Like, I don't know. They could have been better."
Gotsu, do you think you're top 10 if you're still losing every weekly to Cobalt? Gotsu, I'm really happy. I'm really happy with how you've been doing on the regional level. But do you think Cobalt is tougher than Leffen?
But you have to just keep pelting him with questions, like even like midway through his answer, just ask another one. Just keep it going.
I would be down to do it.
Gatsu, do you feel strange about the fact that it was easier for Kata to beat you than Duck? Like just random.
Like a waiter walks over and you're like, "Not yet. We're not ready to order yet.
Check, please." It's like,
or you. Oh my god! I had Ambi brings up something like very funny in the chat. I don't know why I did this at Royal Flush. Drug Fox, me, and Wheat were talking, and I asked Drug Fox.
No, you walked up to him cold. He wasn't talking to us.
No, I didn't walk up to them cold. Don't exaggerate. And the topic of who the most technical fox comes up, and Drug Fox.
No, that's not what happened. You asked him.
Okay, that I did ask him who he thought was the most technical fox, and he goes, "Oh, I think it's me or Leffen." And I go, "Yeah, I think it's Leffen."
He was like
right
talking
before
to
he
someone
3-0'd
else.
him.
Oh my god!
Dude, he 3-0'd Leffen at that same tournament. All I'm saying is I got the magic touch.
He was right near someone else. He was we were like standing near him, but he was talking to someone else, and the conversation ended. And then we were like still staying near him, and then Edwin's just like, "Who do you think's the most technical fox?" He's like, I guess it's probably me or Leffen. And he's like, "Yeah, I think it's Leffen." And then I really don't know what came of that. That's where the memory ends.
By the
In
way,
my
do
mind,
I
you
sound
just like
robotic?
180 and just turned around.
Okay, my spouse is angrily texting me to keep quiet, so I might.
Well, I think we're running close to the end of the episode. Something that we've been doing. Hey, Radar, you've been talking about humanizing people in the Melee scene, and this is something that we've been trying to do recently. We have this new segment at the end of the episode. We're talking about what we've been interested in recently that is outside of Melee. So each week we talk about something that, like this past week, has really been something that we've been thinking about or like partaking in. So I'll start it off.
Can I just interrupt really quickly and just ask, can you guys hear me well? Because I'm having a lot of like problems with your voices, and I'm not sure if I'm robotic. If you guys are fine, I can continue because it's just like a little choppy, but I can hear everybody. It's just with crackles.
Yeah, just go on.
Yeah, I think you're good.
I'm good? Okay. Keep going. Sorry.
No, all good. So I want to talk about this is something that we talked about a couple different Zanes. This is the Ipengu Zane. We talked about this a little bit this week. It's the 50th anniversary of Joni Mitchell's Blue, the 1971 album, which I legitimately think people could call it the best album of all time. I do not think that is that wrong. I think it is effortlessly complex. It like the way that she is able to play guitar and have these lyrics, I think it is intimate and it's poetic. I think that this is one of the most amazing albums of all time, and having a 50th anniversary like retrospective that people are looking back on it, I think this is a perfect time if you've never heard this album to enter it. Probably one of the, I said it, one of the best albums of all time. There's no two ways around it.
Nice.
Thank you, Walt. Now it's time for Edwin to say whatever communist propaganda he's about to say this week.
Here we go.
I wouldn't put it that way, but okay. Well, one thing I've thought a lot about. Oh my god, I keep hitting this. One thing I've thought a lot about is sort of like how there's kind of a misconception, I think, among most people that they think that any issues pertaining to like LGBT people are just like an American or cosmopolitan thing. And something that like this month I've especially been thinking about, is the fact that like Smash and gaming just in general is it's a space with a higher proportion of visible LGBT people. And obviously like those kinds of issues and that kind of history intersects with my natural interests in like politics and like international news. And just one thing I've been really grateful for this month, and I've thought about a lot while like reading, is just like all the LGBT people in my life that had made it so much better and have given me like such additional perspective on like not just viewing the world, but like giving me a lot of joy. So I want to take this part of my segment to not only shout out Gailey and to shout out Melee Sad Post, aka Trinity, but to shout out all the LGBT authors that have contributed to my worldview and understanding of everything, like Leslie Feinberg and so many others. And just in general, I've been thinking about that a lot this month. So
that's going to be hard to follow up, right?
Like, don't make me go next because mine is.
You make me feel like a piece of shit for saying anything about that.
In 1 sec.
Oh fuck! Wait, he left.
Oh, did I scare off Radar?
Yeah, dude, he couldn't say anything else after that.
Oh my. Okay, yeah. The answer that I had of like what I've been interested in outside of Melee is not as kind-hearted and wholesome as what Edwin just said. So I'm just gonna come off like an asshole when I say this. God, I don't.
No, you're fucked. Like, there's no way around it.
Okay,
like, I've been thinking a lot about like donating money to charity, and it's like, now it just looks like you're reaching for that. I don't know.
Okay, so let me just reiterate the question to kind of like, wash Edwin's absolutely completely kind answer out of our minds a little bit.
It's very off-brand for me too. Like,
so the question was, like, what are we just like down with that isn't related to Melee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my answer is hockey, because my New York Islanders, aka the hungriest men in the world, have a shot at the Stanley Cup Finals. We got absolutely embarrassed last night, but I thought we were doing it in 6, and here we are. We're gonna have to force a game 7 now, but it feels great seeing my hungry men out there just pounding the ice, just skating it up and hitting some dudes and cross-checking and fighting, and I don't know. It's just what a wonderful sport hockey is.
Right. So I will take that as you being anti-LGBTQ, but
pretty much, right?
Okay, wait a minute. It's like I didn't think we were taking this kind of direction.
No. Walt, you are wonderful. What a wonderful answer. Time to go to Radar. Radar, what have you been interested in recently? Let's pull back the Melee curtain.
So lately, we're still very much in the thick of the pandemic here. I don't even have my second shot. So I've kind of been turning to like TVs and movies and books and that kind of thing. So I have 2 recommendations of things that I've really been enjoying lately. The first is the manga Yotsuba. I don't know if anyone in the chat or here has read it. It's like a very whimsical kind of like, not like a slice of life story. It's about this like little girl and like her neighbors and stuff. It's just like funny, cute stuff. It's just really good. It's definitely like, as someone who's read probably like, I don't know, 80 series. Well, actually, to speak to Ambi on like, I give dad vibes. This was my fiance's favorite manga. So I was like, oh, I'll definitely check this out. So that's the first one. If you are looking for like a series that's just like a nice, cool, fun series that will make you feel happy, Yotsuba is a good one. And then for television, I've really been enjoying the show Lupin. It's a French TV show that's been getting like a lot of kind of talk on kind of by critics. It's basically just about, it's like a mystery series that based on the books, like the French books with Lupin, Gentleman Burglar. And it's just a really good show. It's just fun. So if you're looking for like more of like a kind of fun, thrilling, edge of your seat kind of show, I don't know if either of you guys have watched it or all 3 of you, but I would recommend that. It's only right now 10 episodes, and each episode's about 40 minutes. So like, and it's 2 seasons so far. So
I'll ask my spouse if they've seen it. It sounds familiar.
It's got like 98 or something on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like very well reviewed.
There's a song on my SoundCloud likes that is called "The New Lupin Groove," which I think comes from that show. So I've maybe heard some of the soundtrack there.
It is very good. It is like a very, very good show, and like it's kind of fun to watch something that's not in English, that's also not in Japanese for me, just because like, I don't know, there are different cultures, different approaches to things. French also for me as someone who is Canadian, like there is some, oh yeah, like I kind of know this language, but not really. So part of the fun as well has also been like listening and being like, do I actually understand this if there's no subtitles? And the answer is usually no, but some.
Let's go. You're getting there.
Am I crackly again?
No, you're fine. Okay. For once. It has been what a pleasure. You know, we talked about you guys invited, you guys invited us on your podcast, and now we return the favor. And dude, I had such a great time. I had a great time on your podcast, and I hope that you guys had a great time on ours. But I believe we are reaching the end at this point. Time to plug, whatever you guys got going on. We want to hear Twitch, Twitters, whatever, YouTube's, of course. But we want to hear it. What time to rattle them all off.
Radar, you want to go first, or?
Sure. Again, I don't know what's going on with my computer lately in terms of like the audio glitching out. This happened when we were commentating. I got to figure it out. But in terms of where to find me, youtube.com/MikeandRayleigh. I literally just released a TikTok today. So TikTok.com, I guess, /RadarSSBM. I literally don't know how to plug it because that's how little I use that platform. But I'm actually going to be doing a lot more TikTok stuff for a certain event that's coming up. So expect to see like maybe 10 of them or something. Should be exciting. And I think you guys already know what the Mixup is. So if you guys want to watch that, it's at Walt's channel, twitch.tv/turnoutforwalt. And thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, as for me, youtube.com/turndownforwalt, just the whole 9, all that stuff. Hopefully have a frame data coming out this week, I'm hoping for. Also have to continue doing a few things in partnership with Red Bull for Plup Showdown. So I will be probably making a few more pieces surrounding that event or just Plup in general. Yeah, Twitter, the Mixup, all that stuff. I just released a new merch line on my apparel store. What will you have after 500 knockdown? It is the Think Fox collection for the Omni-Man in your life. So I'm excited about that one. Oh wait, okay,
did you release the Omni-Man one for Father's Day?
I did.
Okay.
I waited for that one.
You cheeky.
I'll actually so I have the next one that's coming out. I have it right here. Actually, I'm gonna show you guys.
Damn, leaks.
Special thing. So here's the next merch line that's gonna come out, and it is called the Pop Off merch line.
Oh wow.
So that one will be coming out. Prevent yourself from fainting from heat stroke with a nice tank top. But yeah, super excited for all that stuff. But yeah, really excited to be on with you guys, and I hope we make this more of a consistent thing across both of our shows.
Yeah, it was a blast to have you on, Walt, and it was a blast to have you on to Radar. It was very fun.
Yeah, thank you again.
Edwin, you want to plug? You want me to do it?
I can do it. So first off, I want to say that our Twitter you can follow for daily coverage of last night's Melee results at twitter.com/MeleeStatsPod. We're actually at 3,999 followers right now. So any of you who haven't followed, you have a chance to become the 4,000th follower and gain literally nothing. And gain literally nothing from it. So if you like daily coverage, you can follow us there. If you like material on our website, go to Melee Stats Co., where you can read Monday Morning Marth, get When's Melee from our new staff writer, Pikachu942. She's doing that from now on. If you support our podcast and our YouTube films, go to patreon.com/MeleeStats. Your support goes a really long way in helping us be able to do this stuff with a lot more time. And we super appreciate it.
Awesome. You haven't taken the plug thrown from me. I'll do that next time.
I feel like I said that in one breath. It's been a while since I
haven't taken over the plugs from you, but it was good to hear you do it for once. No, super sick episode. This was so fun. I appreciate you guys so much for being on, and I changed my mind. I said you guys weren't a good guest. I changed my mind. You guys were great guests. No, you guys were amazing, and you the viewers and listeners, so amazing for tuning in. This has been Waiting for Game. Feel free to tune in next week. Well, tune in next week because we are going to have. Dude, I am looking forward to next week's episode. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to give any leaks, but if you like this week's episode, you are going to love next week's episode. All right. Thank you everyone for being on, and thank you everyone for watching. Peace.
Peace, y'all.